Chapter 2022. Qin Yun can feel that the mental energy in the sixth pearl of the nine sun divine spirit is gradually decreasing. As long as he absorbs it for a few more days, it will be completely absorbed. After absorbing the mental energy, it means that their mental power is strong enough to break the seal of the sixth pearl. At that time, not only will he be able to obtain the items inside the sixth pearl will also become a very large storage space. Xiao Yun, do you need a very strong mental power to carve the sun dragon totem you obtained? Ling Yun'er asked. Of course. Some inscriptions required a sufficiently powerful blood-soul power. Blood-soul power is the power of blood and soul. Both aspects must be strong enough. Qin Yun said, especially a powerful rune like the sun dragon totem. Qin Yun said, didn't I encounter those strange spirits in the ancient tomb of the Long family? Do you still remember? I remember. Those strange spirits are very powerful. They can form a very powerful barrier. Ling Yun'er said, what the hell is going on? Those strange spirits were born from the sun dragon totem on the stone slab. They are indeed very powerful, so I have an idea. If my mental power is strong enough, then I can release a large number of powerful runes with a single thought and form a sealing enchantment or a killing formation or something. Qin Yun paused for a moment and said with a smile, this is the strongest state of inscription do technique. Using this kind of inscription do technique to fight, the power will definitely be very strong. How strong must one's mental power be to reach this state? Ling Yun'er said, it's not mental power. The most important thing is the power of the blood soul. Qin Yun said, my blood soul power is currently only at the mid-saint rank. If I absorb the energy of the nine sun divine spirit, I should be able to reach the high saint rank. Above the high saint rank, there is still the king saint rank. I feel that I need to have at least a king saint rank blood soul. Only with the power of blood soul can the runes instantly condense into a formation. Ling Yun'er asked, Xiao Yun, if you have the power of a high saint rank blood soul, what is your level in the sacred desolate? Above average level. I don't know much about the situation of the inscription masters in the sacred desolate. I'm just guessing. Qin Yun said, there should be something in the divine inscription palace to test the power of the blood soul. As Qin Yun thought about the inscription do technique, he absorbed the powerful mental power. I wonder if the things in the sixth pearl will be of any help to you. Ling Yun'er sighed softly. It would be too disappointing if we were to come up with a fellow like the little black donkey. Qin Yun said with a smile, the little black donkey Xian Wu totem is very useful. If I can really instantly form a formation with my palm, then the core of the defensive formation would be the black tortoise totem. Then I can add other runes or totems. Ling Yun'er said, then when we attack, will we use the Hercules totem rune? There are too many offensive runes. According to the situation, the most important thing is to restrain the opponent. Qin Yun had already rehearsed all kinds of situations in his mind. A few days passed by very quickly. Qin Yun finally finished absorbing the mental energy of the nine sun, divine soul's sixth pearl. His mental cultivation had also made a breakthrough, and the blood soul power he had condensed was at the saint rank. Qin Yun is still in the late stage of Sage Realm. He also wants to quickly become a great sage and become stronger. You can open it now. Qin Yun took a deep breath and concentrated his mental energy into the sixth pearl. After he tried for a moment, he said with a frown, it seems that just mental energy is not enough. I also need the power of the blood soul. What exactly is sealed inside? Why does it have a requirement for the power of the blood soul? It seems that the thing sealed inside is not a great beauty. It has a requirement for the power of the blood soul. It should be something. Ling Yun'er is very disappointed and sighed. This made Qin Yun unable to help but laugh. He said, great beauty Yun'er, my nine sun divine soul has quite a few beauties. Wait until I help you cultivate your body. You can be with them. How can a few be enough? Ling Yun'er mumbled. Qin Yun speechlessly smiled and shook his head. Then he released formidable blood soul power and poured it into the sixth pearl of the nine sun divine soul. His blood soul power is golden in color and has 3 layers of brilliance. It looks very beautiful. 3 layers of brilliance means that it is a high saint rank blood soul power. In order to blast open the seal inside the 6th pearl, he condensed the blood soul power into strands and then attacked it wave by wave. The seal inside the 6th pearl is like a drum, continuously attacked by the blood soul power, making dong 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 sounds. Qin Yin can hear that kind of sound. It is a dull rumble. The seal inside the 9 Sun Divine Soul's 6th pearl also gradually became clear. It is formed by many runes. Following the continuous attack of the blood soul power, the runes on the surface of the seal were gradually destroyed. I should be able to break it. Qin Yin looked inside the 6th pearl and heaved a sigh of relief. He was worried that he would not be able to break it with his current strength. The seal was bombarded by waves of powerful blood soul power. After a full hour, the surface finally cracked. It's going to open. Qin Yin is overjoyed. He said with a smile, "Now I can rest assured. I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to break it." Ling Yin said with a smile, "Hurry up and open it. Let's see what's inside that requires such powerful blood soul power." Qin Yin is also very curious because the things inside were all placed inside by MOG. MOG was once a member of the Heavenly Tao Pawn Shop. The thing she placed in the 9 Sun Divine Soul must have come from the Heavenly Tao Pawn Shop. Moreover, that kind of seal should have been formed through the power of the Heavenly Tao Pawn Shop. The pill transformation Heavenly Furnace from before is a very heaven-defying thing. It is a sun soul, and only the Heavenly Tao Pawn Shop has such a thing. The seal inside the 6th pearl of the 9 Sun Divine Soul was finally blasted open by Qin Yun's blood soul power. The moment it was blasted open, the entire 6th pearl surged with a strong golden light. What a big movement. When I opened the other pearls before, there was no such movement. Qin Yun said in surprise. Could it be that the thing sealed inside is very strong? Now that the seal has been broken, there is such a big movement. Quickly take a look at what it is. Ling Yin shouted. Just as Qin Yun was about to penetrate the 6th pearl with his mental power, he suddenly sensed something running out of the 6th pearl, something that can run out by itself. This made Qin Yun extremely surprised. He quickly released his mental power to sense the thing that ran out. Fortunately, he is inside the floating cloud pagoda. There are many powerful enchantments in the pagoda. Without his permission, it would not be so easy to run out. That thing is invisible, Qin Yun said with a frown. Is it a living thing? Ling Yin immediately became very excited and said with a smile, maybe it's a naked beauty. Because it's shy, it's invisible. Yin aren't you too imaginative? Qin Yin said, and quickly locked onto that thing. He immediately released the powerful power of the blood soul and condensed it into a divine tree totem, tying up the invisible thing. After tying it up, the thing revealed its true form. It turned out to be a small blue square cauldron. The small cauldron is about the size of a wine pot and seems to be carved out of blue crystal. The square cauldron has 4 legs, and there are no patterns or other things on the surface. It is just smooth. The strange thing is that this small cauldron actually has a pair of wings. The translucent blue wings are like the wings of a fairy. Although it is not a great beauty, Ling Yin is still very excited because this is her own kind, a fairy. Xiao Yun, is this a fairy? Cauldron fairy? Ling Yin shouted in surprise. A cauldron can turn into a fairy. This is too awesome. Qin Yin walked over and looked at the small blue cauldron. The small cauldron flapped its wings and really struggled, as if it was frightened. Yin can you communicate with this cauldron? Qin Yin asked. I'll give it a try. Ling Yin immediately tried. Soon, Ling Yin said in surprise, Xiao Yun, this cauldron is called Soul Creation Heavenly Cauldron. Have you heard of this cauldron? I have an impression. Qin Yun frowned and quickly dug into the memories in the depths of his soul. He said, I have only heard of this legend. This is what Tian Daozi told me. He said that Soul Creation Heavenly Cauldron created many soul bodies, so humans and beasts have soul martial spirits. I asked this little thing about it, but she didn't seem to know anything. She said she was very scared. Ling Yuner said, "She should be a girl. Her voice is very cute. If it is really soul creation heavenly cauldron, then this thing is dangerous." Qin Yun's expression changed slightly and said in a deep voice, "I guess that this soul creation heavenly cauldron may have encountered heavenly punishment, so it lost its memory. Wait, isn't soul creation heavenly cauldron used by the heavenly Tao to create soul bodies?" Ling Yun asked hurriedly, "How could it encounter heavenly punishment?" Tian Dao Zi told me that before the heavenly Tao was formed, many soul bodies appeared in the primal chaos space. Those soul bodies were created by soul creation heavenly cauldron. Later on, this cauldron was controlled by the heavenly Tao. Qin Yun said, "Why is it in the nine sun divine spirit? Only Mog knows." Ling Yun said with a smile, "Xiao Yun, can you use soul creation heavenly cauldron to create many soul bodies?" Qin Yun nodded, "Yes, but I don't know how to do it for the time being. However, I think I should be able to cooperate with you, Ma." In her small mirror, there are many soul bodies recorded. Using soul creation heavenly cauldron to refine inscription spirit, will you be punished by heavenly punishment? Ling Yun asked again, "If you can, won't you be able to have a large number of inscription spirits?" Inscription spirit is very rare. If it is obtained by someone, it will be fused into a person's body. Qin Yun is also secretly excited. He said with a smile, "In addition to being fused with people, inscription spirit can also be refined into weapons and magic tools, making weapons and magic tools stronger. In addition to soul refining, there should be other abilities, right?" Ling Yun said, "I have to study it carefully." Qin Yun said, "Continue to communicate with her and appease her. Don't let her fear me." Chapter 2023. Qin Yun planned to let the soul creation heavenly cauldron familiarize itself with him before coming into contact with and studying this mysterious cauldron. For the soul creation heavenly cauldron to be able to turn into a spirit, it was definitely not simple, and it required a very strong blood-soul power to be able to use it. He believed that the soul creation heavenly cauldron could not only be used to create souls, it definitely had other uses. He looked at the seventh pearl of the nine sun divine spirit and felt that the seal inside is incomparably powerful. He released a very powerful blood-soul power, but was unable to shake it in the slightest. "I wonder when I can open this seventh pearl." Qin Yun shook his head and took out a communication talisman. It is the one Long Bei gave him. This message talisman could contact Qin Long Dad. Qin Yun contacted Qin Long through the communication talisman. "Xiao Yun, you brat, you finally came to the sacred wasteland. I thought you wouldn't be able to come." Qin Long laughed. "How are you doing in the supreme holy city?" "Not bad," Qin Yun said with smile. "Dad, Mom has been resurrected. I know this." Qin Long said, "Wait for Yun Long's notification. I will be able to see her then." "Dad, why was your true body in the buried heavenland back then?" Qin Yun had always been curious about this. "Sai, I placed this in the buried heavenland to preserve my body." Qin Long said, "There is still a portion of my memories in my real body." Qin Yun said, "You used to work at the Heavenly Tao pawn shop. What was the main job of my Heavenly Tao pawn shop?" "It's just a bunch of miscellaneous things. For example, to issue a bounty or to find something that the Heavenly Law pawn shop needs." Qin Long laughed and said, "You, the Nanyang Palace King, were a frequent customer of the Heavenly Law pawn shop back then. By the way, Dad, have you heard of Mog? She once stayed in the Heavenly Law pawn shop for a period of time." Qin Yun asked. "Speaking of Mog," Qin Long sighed. "She went to the Netherworld realm. I don't know the specifics." Qin Yun thought for a moment and said, "Dad, the soul creation heavenly cauldron should belong to the Heavenly Law pawn shop. Do you know anything about it?" Qin Long was shocked and quickly said, "This thing was stolen from the Heavenly pawn shop and has been missing for many years. You have it." Just as Qin Yun guessed, the soul creation heavenly cauldron was once in the Heavenly Tao pawn shop. "It's in my hands. What use does it have?" asked Qin Yun with a smile. "It's quite useful. Not only can it create souls, but it can also duplicate souls. For example, it can copy a person's 9 souls and 9 spirits. Of course, I'm not too sure about the specific process. Qin Long said, also, the soul-creating heavenly cauldron can also refine souls. I have to become stronger. When Qin Yun heard Qin Long's explanation, he gained a general understanding of the soul creation heavenly cauldron. He laughed. Father, how much do you know about the divine universe ice dragon in the sacred desolate dragon race? My inscription divine mountain might go to find the divine universe ice dragon and fall into that holy land. The sacred desolate dragon race has been punished by the heavens. This bunch of fellows actually created a divine universe dragon egg. Although it is relatively small, once this dragon egg hatches, it will be a divine cosmic dragon. Qin Long's deep voice came from the communication talisman. Qin Yun guessed that the sacred desolate dragon race created a small divine universe dragon, but the truth is that the sacred desolate dragon race created a divine universe dragon egg. Do you know how they did it? Asked Qin Yun. I don't know. It's a secret technique they mastered. However, these guys are very regretful now because they are being punished by the heavens and get struck by lightning from time to time. Their divine universe dragon egg is very small, and they don't know how to hatch it. So they need the help of the divine universe ice dragon. Qin Long said. Qin Yun is very interested in this matter. He said with a smile, Father, I want to see that dragon egg. Can you help me arrange it? Those guys from the sacred desolate dragon race are very vigilant towards our immortal desolate dragon race. Qin Long cursed in low voice. They're worried that our immortal desolate dragon race will snatch away their divine universe dragon egg, so they won't even let us take a look. So don't even think about it. They are guarding that divine universe dragon egg like it's their lifeblood. They created a dragon egg, and before they can even benefit from it, they're being punished by the heavens. We must indeed be cautious. Qin Yun said with a smile. Then forget it. Xiao Yun, I'm also preparing to go out and look for the Sun Holy Land. We suspect that the strongest dragon race in the sacred desolate Sun Holy Land is the divine universe dragon race. Qin Long said, Have you heard of the divine universe dragon race? Speaking of the divine universe dragon race, Qin Yun recalled some of his memories. He promptly said, I heard that back then, the heavenly Tao used the power of the divine universe to create many divine universe dragons. But later on, these dragons did not listen to the heavenly Tao's orders, so they were sealed. I suspect that those dragons are hiding in the Sun Holy Land. Qin Long said, There must be a reason why the divine universe dragon race betrayed the heavenly Tao. Those guys from the heavenly law divine realm seem to be secretly looking for the divine universe dragon race. Qin Yun said, Father, you have to be careful of those guys from the heavenly law divine realm. I know. I will set off now to look for the Sun Holy Land. If I find anything, I will contact you again. Qin Long said. After Qin Yun and Qin Long cut off contact, he walked out of the floating cloud pagoda. He also wants to see the divine universe dragon race. The divine universe dragon race must understand the heavenly Tao very well, yet they still betrayed it. There must be a reason. After Qin Yun walked out of the floating cloud pagoda, he went to contact Kong Chung. Kong Chung was also in the city. When he found out that Qin Yun had come out of seclusion, he immediately came to find Qin Yun. Kong Chung knew that Fei Yun was Qin Yun, but he did not reveal this matter. Once the people of the heavenly law divine realm knew that Qin Yun had come to the sacred desolate, they would believe that the altar was destroyed by Qin Yun. After Kong Chung returned to his residence, he saw Qin Yun come out and immediately said with a smile, Little brother, your complexion looks good. Has your cultivation gone smoothly these past few days? Qin Yun nodded and said with a smile, Not bad. Elder Kong, did you bring any good news? Kong Chung said, I know that you must be most concerned about those altars. From the first to the 6 cities of the Divine King City, there was originally an altar. But ever since the altar in the 6 cities of the Divine King City disappeared, the other 5 altars also disappeared one after another. They should be hiding, Qin Yun said with a frown. That's right. I suspect that their altar is hidden underground. Kong Chung said. Those sun altars could become smaller, and hiding them underground was also a very easy thing to do. If it becomes smaller, it will be easier to get it, right? Kong Chung said with a mischievous smile. Not necessarily. They are willing to strengthen their defense now. It will be very difficult to obtain another altar. Qin Yin shook his head. Just as Kong Chung and Qin Yin were chatting, an old man suddenly walked in. That old man was the butler of this place. Boss Kong, young Master Ji is here, the old butler said with a trembling voice, his face filled with fear and anxiousness. Young Master Ji is here? Invite him in. Kong Cheng's expression also slightly changed. The old butler immediately walked out. Qin Yin asked in a low voice, "Who is young Master Ji? To scare your butler to such a state?" Kong Chung snorted in a low voice. The Supreme Saint Palace has 3 Palace Masters, Great Palace Master, Second Palace Master, and Third Palace Master. Young Master Ji is the son of the Third Palace Master. This guy's talent is very outstanding, so his position in the Supreme Saint Palace is extremely high. Young Master Ji and I are both disciples of an elder of the Supreme Saint Palace. He entered the sect many years later than me. Because of his outstanding talent and the fact that he has a palace master as his father, he is stronger than us senior brothers. Because he is a junior brother, he is very unconvinced and said that we should use strength to determine seniority. His strength is the strongest, so he became the great senior brother. Qin Yin said with a smile, "This guy is really something." Kong Chung sighed and said, "I also have backbone. I don't want to recognize that guy as great senior brother, so I don't want to call him great senior brother no matter what. I just call him young Master Ji." "Then he didn't make things difficult for you, right?" Qin Yin said. "He is a guy who will seek revenge for the smallest grievance. Moreover, he is extremely arrogant, vicious, and merciless. How could he not make things difficult for me? In order to not be made things difficult for him, I walked the path of being a spy. Then I went hunting and left the Supreme Saint Palace." Kong Chung cursed in low voice. After Qin Yin sat down, he said with a smile, "He came to find you this time. It is definitely not a good thing." Kong Chung coldly groaned and said, "I am a spy. I said that I have a lot of useful information. He will definitely come to me for information." Not long after, young Master Ji walked in. Young Master Ji is wearing a large furry white robe. It can be seen that the fur is from a very precious saint beast. There are several middle-aged men behind him. All of them are great saint cultivators. Young Master Ji is holding a short sword. He is mainly playing with it. Although he is very handsome, his face is filled with arrogance. When he looks at people, his expression is always filled with contempt. After young Master Ji entered the hall, a middle-aged man took out a very luxurious, huge dragon chair from his storage magic tool. It seems like he doesn't want to sit on this chair. Moreover, he also brought his own drink. The cup and kettle are all golden and dazzling. This is a very pompous young man. After he entered, his ice-cold eyes are filled with contempt as he looked at Qin Yin a few times. "Old man Kong, is this guy your son? He is just as bad as you. He looks like a late-stage saint cultivator." Young Master Ji said with sneer. "He is also trying his best to hide his cultivation. Is he afraid that I will look down on him?" Kong Chung is somewhat surprised because last time he met Qin Yin in the 6 cities, he knew that Qin Yin was an initial stage saint cultivator. But now he is a late-stage saint cultivator. "He is my friend, Fei Yun," Kong Chung coldly replied. "Is he also a hunter? His ability to hide his cultivation is not bad. But he can only last 3 moves in front of me." Ji Jingshi. Ji Jingshi looked at Qin Yin and said with sneer. Kong Chung said with sneer, "Young Master Ji, you're a mid-stage great saint cultivator. My friend is a late-stage saint cultivator. There is a difference of 2 levels. It is natural that he can't defeat you." Chapter 2024. Ji Jingshi laughed loudly and said, "Old man Kong, my dogs are all great saint realm. Your friend is only late-stage saint realm. He is not even comparable to my dogs. Why should he stay here?" Those few middle-aged men behind him are not angry at all after being called dogs. So what if we are young Master Ji's dogs? We can bite whoever we want if we follow young Master Ji. One middle-aged man laughed loudly and said. Qin Yun felt embarrassed for that middle-aged man after hearing these words. Kong Chung said with sneer, Young Master Ji, tell your dogs to scram. Dogs are not allowed in my living room. Old man Kong, I came from far to find you and even took out my precious time. Hurry up and drive that guy out. Don't disturb our conversation. Ji Jingshi drank a mouthful of tea and said coldly, If you have anything to say, go to my secret room and talk. Just the two of us will be enough. Kong Chung already stood up. He hates Ji Jingshi, but he can't afford to offend him. Otherwise, he would have kicked him out long ago. Ji Jingshi said, I don't want to leave. I want to talk here. He is the one who should leave. Qin Yun is very puzzled. Why is Ji Jingshi targeting him? He did not even say a single word. Young Master Ji, are you deliberately looking for trouble? Kong Chung said angrily. Indeed, I am deliberately looking for trouble. Then I want to talk to you about something. Ji Jingshi sat there, indifferently drank his tea, and said with sneer, Who told you not to acknowledge me as your eldest senior brother? I'm deliberately targeting you. Young Master Ji, I am not feeling well today. Let's talk another day. Kong Chung is so angry that his whole body is tensed up. Ji Jingshi looked at Qin Yun and angrily rebuked him. What are you looking at? You are asking for a beating. Why are you still not scramming? Let me tell you, the way you looked at me just now made me feel very disgusted. From today on, you are my enemy. I will make sure you can no longer stay in Supreme Saint City. Qin Yun clenched his fists. He is a very restrained person, but now he can't help but want to attack. He finally endured because Ji Jingshi is deliberately targeting Kong Chung. So he is very arrogant towards Kong Cheng's friends to infuriate Kong Chung. Old Kong, I will take my leave first. Qin Yun stood up and cupped his hands towards Kong Chung. Brother Fei Yun, wait for me in the secret room, Kong Chung said. Just as Qin Yun was about to leave, a middle-aged man behind Ji Jingshi appeared behind him and pressed on his shoulder. What are you going to do to my friend? Kong Chung roared. What are you doing? The way he looked at young Master Ji was very unfriendly, which disgusted young Master Ji. I want to beat him up. The middle-aged man laughed loudly, then waved his thick palm and slapped Qin Yun's face. The middle-aged man was at the Great Sage Realm initial stage. He felt that it would not be a problem for him to fight a sage. What he did not know was that the sage he was fighting was not an ordinary sage. Qin Yun followed the principle of if others don't offend me, I won't offend them. Ji Jingshi was only targeting Kong Chung, but this middle-aged follower came over to beat him up. In the face of such a matter, he simply could not tolerate it. The moment the palm landed, Qin Yun's body suddenly disappeared into thin air. Kong Chung and Ji Jingshi are shocked to see Qin Yun suddenly disappear. Especially Kong Chung. He understands Qin Yun very well. These past few days, he's been inquiring about Qin Yun in Immortal Desolate. He knows that Qin Yun is a ruthless person who is not afraid of heaven or earth. Otherwise, he would not have dared to destroy the altar of 6 divine king cities twice. The moment Qin Yun disappeared, he suddenly appeared behind that middle-aged follower. A large golden saber appeared in his hand. It is the Nether Spirit's sacred blade. It looks very ordinary, but it is incomparably powerful, bringing along a very fierce and ruthless aura. The saber flew over. Its imposing aura brought along a scorching hot saber wind. Voila! The saber burst out with a burst of flame wave. The fiery saber images overlapped and fell on the middle-aged follower's body like a tidal wave. The middle-aged follower's body suddenly burst into flames, and he let out a miserable scream. He only let out a miserable scream, and then his voice faded away. At the same time, Qin Yun waved his hand. The flames also returned to the saber. The middle-aged follower who turned into flames disappeared without a trace, along with the flames. The entire hall is filled with residual heat. Not even a speck of ash remains of the middle-aged follower. Only the echoes of his miserable scream was left behind. The middle-aged follower's miserable scream is still echoing in everyone's ears, but he is already dead. Qin Yun's expression is calm. He looked at Ji Jingshi and said, Watch your dog. The consequences of randomly biting people are very serious. This time, I am only butchering the dog. Next time your dog bites me, I will teach the dog's owner a lesson. Ji Jingshi is startled. His expression suddenly became incomparably gloomy. His eyes are filled with ruthless killing intent because no one has ever spoken to him like this before. After Qin Yin finished speaking, he walked towards the secret room without even turning his head. Of course, he can feel Ji Jingshi's killing intent, but he is not the least bit afraid. He is not even afraid of the heavenly Tao. How can he be afraid of a person? Kong Cheng is also extremely apprehensive. Qin Yin took out his saber in an instant, and a great saint disappeared into thin air, just like that. The most frightening thing is that nothing in the hall has been destroyed. It must be known that this kind of flame can instantly turn a great saint into ashes. The majority of the furniture in the hall is made of wood, but none of it has been ignited. This kind of fire control technique has reached the peak of perfection. Ji Jingshi can also see this point, so he did not attack Qin Yin again. Old man Kong, who is this guy? He killed my dog. I will at least break one of his legs. Ji Jingshi said coldly. Don't provoke him. He is not someone to be trifled with. Kong Cheng said with sneer. Those who provoke him will not have a good ending. Ji Jingshi laughed loudly and said, You think I am afraid of him? Quickly tell me who he is. I will find him and get it back. Kong Cheng said, Don't worry. He is a sect master of a sect. He will join the Supreme Saint Palace in the future. You will naturally know who he is at that time. Good, good, good. His sect will join the Supreme Saint Palace? Then I must play him to death. Ji Jingshi laughed sinisterly and said, When his sect joins the Supreme Saint Palace, you must remember to inform me. Kong Cheng said, I will definitely inform you. He is not the least bit worried that the inscription gate will suffer a loss because he knows how dreadful the inscription gate is. Why did you come to find me? Kong Cheng asked. Master is about to die. As the eldest senior brother, of course I have to inform the junior brothers to prepare for his funeral. Also, how much do you know about the Sun Holy Land? Recently, there was a rumor that the Divine Universe Ice Dragon might be inside the Sun Holy Land. Kong Cheng said in cold voice. I am also inquiring about the Sun Holy Land, but I have no news at the moment. He lost to someone else in a spar and was so angry that he went berserk. Plus his lifespan is almost up. He won't be able to live for more than a few days. If you want to see him, hurry up. Ji Jingshi coldly groaned and said, That damned old man is overestimating himself. He is clearly dying, but he still wanted to spar with someone else and lost so badly. He is truly a disgrace to me. Kong Cheng said angrily. Ji Jingshi, you should respect Master a bit. Without him, would you have this kind of strength? Ji Jingshi raised his head and laughed loudly. My talent is unparalleled. Without him, I am still a young and promising expert. Get the hell out of here. Kong Cheng roared. Ji Jingshi stood up and said in cold voice, Tell your friend to be careful. I will not let him off. Then you should quickly prepare for your funeral. Kong Cheng is extremely angry. After Ji Jingshi left, Kong Cheng angrily slapped the table. Qin Yin walked out and said, Old Kong, your master must be a very good person. You seem to respect him very much. My master is like my father. How can I not respect him? Kong Cheng let out a long sigh and said, He told me before that the thing he regretted the most was taking that bastard Ji Jingshi as his disciple, causing us disciples to be in a state of disunity. Let's go and see your master. Take me with you. I might be able to extend his lifespan. Qin Yin said. He has already reached the end. He will soon return to heaven. Kong Cheng shook his head and said, His destiny has run out. This is the law of heavenly Tao. Qin Yin patted Kong Cheng's shoulder and said, Let's quickly go and see him. Kong Cheng nodded and said, I will take you with me. He is an inscription master. You can ask him for guidance on some things. Inscription master? Qin Yin said with smile. That would be for the best. I will have to learn from him. Kong Cheng brought Qin Yin on a flying carriage and left his residence. In a short while, they flew out of Supreme Saint City. Inside the flying carriage, Kong Cheng said, That bastard Ji Jingshi also received news that he is looking for Sun Holy Land. It seems like he did not receive any news from his father. The news of Sun Holy Land having divine universe ice dragon should spread very quickly. Did the dragon race leak the news? Qin Yun said. Kong Chung shook his head and said, "It can't be the dragon race. I suspect that it is the doing of the heavenly law divine domain. They are looking for Sun Holy Land, but they have no clue. If they release this kind of news, they will be able to mobilize even more people to search together." Qin Yun nodded and said, "If there is any sign of trouble, they will know." Kong Chung said, "Now we can only look at the dragon race. If they can persuade the sacred Tiger King, they will know where the Sun Holy Land is." Qin Yun took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Kong Chung looked at the black spear-like arrow and said in shock, "Is this the sun-suppressing divine arrow? Elder Kong, you're truly awesome. You can see through it with a single glance." Qin Yun said with a smile, "My father told me about the sun-suppressing divine arrow, so after I saw it, I could roughly guess." Kong Chung laughed and said, "You are so awesome. Once you become a great saint, a tramp like Ji Jingshi will not be your match." Qin Yun said, "This arrow might be able to help me find the Sun Holy Land." Kong Chung said with frown, "There is a reaction between the sun-suppressing divine arrow and the Sun Holy Land?" "Not at all. There are 9 sun-suppressing divine arrow and 1 in Azure Dragon's hand. Azure Dragon is inside the Divine Inscription Mountain, and my Divine Inscription Mountain has most likely entered the Sun Holy Land." Qin Yun said, "There is a possibility that there is a reaction between the 9 sun-suppressing divine arrows." Kong Chung exclaimed in admiration and said, "If we can truly sense it, that would be great." Chapter 2025. Although Kong Chung doesn't know much about formations, his master is an inscription master after all. Therefore, he has a certain level of understanding in this aspect. "Little brother Qin, maybe I can ask my master to help when setting up formations. If he can still move, he can help a lot." Kong Chung said. "How was your master's inscription level?" Qin Yun asked. "That's awesome." Kong Chung said with a smile, then sighed and said again, "He is one of the 3 strongest inscription masters in our Supreme Saint Palace. Back then, Ji Jingshi and his son pestered him for a long time before he accepted Ji Jingshi as his disciple." Qin Yun immediately thought of something and said, "Old Kong, please forgive me for speaking bluntly. I suspect that Ji Jingshi and his son have bad intentions. That's why they want to become your master's disciple." "Tell me," Kong Chung said with frown, "Ji Jingshi doesn't respect my master at all. Especially now that my master is about to leave. He is even more impudent. It seems like he really hates my master from the bottom of his heart, but he still wants to become my master's disciple. Your master must have something very precious in his hands. Isn't Ji Jingshi's father a palace master? That's why they know your master's secret. Of course, this is just my guess," Qin Yun said. Kong Chung immediately cursed in anger. "That bastard Ji Jingshi, I don't know if he succeeded or not. If he succeeded and still disrespected my master, I will kill him even if I have to risk my life. I'm just suspecting. If I want to clarify this matter, I can only ask your master." Qin Yun said, "Maybe he doesn't want to talk about this matter." Kong Chung slapped his thigh and said, "I finally understand why Ji Jingshi, that wretch, made us leave in anger and tried to sow discord among us. He wanted us to distance ourselves from Master so that he could get what he wanted. Logically speaking, old Kong, you're also an old fox. How come you only realized this matter now? You should have some suspicions." Qin Yun said, "That's because I didn't expect Ji Jingshi to be so bad. I only knew that he didn't respect Master at all when I saw him say those words." Kong Chung said, "In order to become Master's disciple, he coaxed and pestered Master and said all kinds of good things." Qin Yun said, "It seems like only by meeting your Master will I be able to clarify this matter. I'm just afraid that he won't speak. After all, being betrayed by his own disciple is a very unbearable matter." Speaking of being betrayed by his disciple, Qin Yun's heart inexplicably surged with resentment because he too had been betrayed before. Not only did the god of love betray him, but also his apprentice. He also had a disciple in his previous life as the king of Pantheon. In this matter, only he knows, even Siekaru and the others do not know. Maybe. Kong Chung let out a long sigh. My master is known as Great Sage Marshal. He is a very accomplished inscription master. Although he is only at the late stage of Great Sage Realm, his level of inscription is extremely high. Even Sky Saint Realm experts are very respectful to him. Qin Yun nodded. Even if a powerful inscription master's cultivation is not too high, they will still be respected by many experts. He is very clear about this point. But that bastard Ji Jingshi actually treated him like this. Kong Chung cursed in anger. It can be seen that he respects and loves his master very much. Kong Chung cursed Ji Jingshi the whole way from the carriage. Not long after, the flying carriage arrived at the top of a tall mountain. There are many ancient stone houses built on top of this tall mountain. Although they look weather-beaten, they are very stable on top of the mountain. The stone hall on top of the mountain is blown by the cold wind and frost. It looks like it is wrapped in a layer of silver-white clothes. After Kong Chung arrived at the top of the mountain, he brought Qin Yun and rushed into the hall. Later on, many people saw Kong Chung and immediately greeted him respectfully, Senior Brother Kong. Qin Yun heard Kong Chung say before that he is the eldest disciple of Great Sage Marshal. He is the eldest senior brother. But because Ji Jingshi is too powerful, the other disciples of Great Sage Marshal don't dare to call him eldest senior brother. This is also one of the things that Kong Chung is most vexed about. Not long after, Kong Chung arrived at a gloomy and cold stone room. The stone room is very bright. There is a stone platform in the middle, and a handsome young man with white hair is sitting on it. The young man's eyes under his white eyebrows slowly opened. His eyes look slightly gloomy, like a lamp that is about to run out of oil. Master! Kong Chung promptly walked over and shouted in grief. Qin Yun is secretly shocked. He thought that Great Sage Marshal would look like a skinny old man with a face full of wrinkles. He did not expect that Great Sage Marshal would look as young as him. Only his hair and eyebrows are white. This is Master's fate. There is nothing to be sad about. Great Sage Marshal faintly smiled. Chung, I heard that you obtained a divine dragon tooth. Can you let Master take a look? Kong Chung hurriedly took out the huge divine dragon tooth. After Great Sage Marshal saw it, he smiled and said, very good material. Unfortunately, Master doesn't have enough power to refine this kind of divine tier material. Where did this divine dragon tooth come from? Kong Chung and Qin Yun had an agreement that he would not say that he gave it to him. He vaguely said, I did something for my friend. He repaid me. Oh, what is it? You actually repaid such a precious thing. You did not take advantage of others, right? Great Sage Marshal said with a smile. I gave it to old Kong. He did a small thing for me. Qin Yun said. Great Sage Marshal looked at Qin Yun with eyes that seemed like they are about to extinguish. When Qin Yun came into contact with Great Sage Marshal's eyes, he could not help but shiver. You are also an inscription master? Great Sage Marshal saw that Qin Yun is wearing a blue rune robe and said in shock, Dragon Transformation Rune. Senior Wu, is your soul injured? Qin Yun said, Your body seems to be fine, but your soul is very weak. I have lived for many years. I was born at the beginning of this era. Great Sage Marshal said with a smile, My soul is about to return to heaven, so I can't withstand torment. Injuries are inevitable. Qin Yun suddenly thought of creation, spirit, heavenly cauldron. His father Qin Long said that soul creation, heavenly cauldron can refine souls. The soul also has a lifespan. If the cultivation does not break through for a long time, it will become very weak, it will decline, and then dissipate. The cultivation breakthrough of the soul is very particular about fate. Great Sage Marshal's body can be maintained without aging, but his soul can't. It can be seen that his soul is limited by a bottleneck. Senior, your soul is unable to grow, so to a certain extent, it has also restricted your cultivation. Qin Yun said, logically speaking, with your age, you should have entered the divine desolate. Kong Chang said in low voice, little brother Qin, my master did not want to break through, so he did not become a heavenly saint. He stayed in the great sage realm to cultivate some kind of secret technique. I told you before. Qin Yin shook his head and said, I thought so before, but now I am very sure that Senior Wu is unable to increase your cultivation because of the problem with your soul. Great Sage Marshall sighed and said, I only have a soul. I don't have a soul. I was born with 9 souls and now I only have 1 soul left. The other 8 souls have already disappeared with the passage of time. Little brother Qin, you are truly amazing. You can actually see through this. This is a secret I have hidden for many years. I also don't want others to know my weakness. Qin Yun took out a blue square cauldron. It is the soul creation heavenly cauldron. Senior, since you are already indifferent to life and death, do you dare to let me try my soul refining technique? Qin Yun said with a smile. If it goes smoothly, you might be able to live for a few more days. Great Sage Marshall said with frown. I used many methods to barely make my soul last until now. My destiny has run out. This is my fate. What you said is wrong. Senior Wu was born without 9 souls. You refused to lower your head to fate and bravely fought against the heavens to live to this day. How can you accept your fate? Qin Yin faintly smiled. Let's try my method. Master, little brother Qin, is an extraordinary person. He came from a mortal desolate. Kong Chung said in low voice. All right, what do I need to do? Great Sage Marshall can see that Qin Yun is not ordinary. He said with a smile, if it really succeeds, I might be able to live to the next era. Qin Yun said, I will extract your soul and put it into my small cauldron to refine. I don't know the specific process for now, so there's a certain amount of risk. All right, come on. Great Sage Marshall closed his eyes and said, Chung, wait outside the door. Don't allow anyone to come in and disturb us. Yes. Kong Chung is very at ease with Qin Yun because he knows that Qin Yun is a very awesome person. It can be said that he was once the overlord of a mortal desolate. Great Sage Marshall did not resist Qin Yun and let Qin Yun extract his soul. Qin Yun took a deep breath and released the Nethermoon. He used the Nethermoon to extract Great Sage Marshall's weak soul and brought it into the soul creation heavenly cauldron. Yuner, asked the Ascendant Spirit how to help that soul become stronger. Qin Yun said. After a while, Ling Yuner said, Xiao Yun, the Cauldron Spirit said that it needs to absorb 9 types of primal chaos energy when opening the heavens. Primal chaos, 9 elemental power. Qin Yun said with frown. This is a legendary energy. I don't have it. Ling Yuner said. Then what should we do? This little thing said that it needs this kind of energy. Qin Yun thought for a moment, then took out a soul-sealing pearl and said, You ask her if other soul bodies can do it. I have a star spear in my hand. I want to give it a try. After Ling Yuner asked the Cauldron Spirit, she said, She also doesn't know if it will work or not. You should give it a try. I'm afraid that Great Sage Marshall's soul will disappear. Qin Yun said, At that time, Ji Jingshi will have even more reason to cause trouble for me. In any case, he is going to die. It's a hopeless situation. Let's give it a try. Ling Yuner said. Qin Yun brought the star spirit of the soul-sealing pearl into the soul creation heavenly cauldron. Not long after entering, Ling Yuner said, She said it won't do. She must have the 9 types of primal chaos energy. After Qin Yun withdrew the star spirit, he suddenly shouted in alarm, Maybe the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation can do it. Chapter 2026. If Qin Yun did not use the soul creation heavenly cauldron, he would not have known that he needed the Chaos 9 essence power. This caught him off guard. He had a lot of energy in his possession. He had Divine Universe Metal Stone, Divine Universe Purple Crystal, Sun God Crystal, and so on. He also had the 9 dragons heavenly origin formation. Therefore, he believed that there was no need to worry about the soul creation heavenly cauldron's energy source. Only now did he realize that it actually required the 9 elemental chaos energy, the legendary energy. Qin Yun released the 9 dragons' heavenly origins array. Each of the 9 dragon-patterned heavenly sabers had a storage space. Now the astral souls were stored inside. These star spirits were collected by Yu Shutian in the past. There are 2 in each of the 9 dragon mark heavenly sabers. Let's begin. Qin Yun is controlling the 9 dragon heavenly origin formation. After the grand array was activated, the energy of the divine universe goldstone would fuse together with the energy of the astral souls before being drawn into the soul creation heaven cauldron. Yuner asked the ascendant elf about the current situation. Qin Yun said, "I'm communicating with her. She didn't answer me for the time being." Ling Yun smiled and said, "Maybe it worked, so she didn't answer me." After Qin Yun waited patiently for a while, Ling Yun said, "She answered me. She said that the energy is useful, but it needs a lot of it. As long as it's useful." Qin Yun let out a sigh of relief and said, "Then ask her if she can make Great Sage Wu's soul stronger or not." Qin Yun was currently unable to control the soul creation heavenly cauldron, so he could only rely on the cauldron sprite. He suspected that the reason why the soul creation heavenly cauldron was sealed in the Heavenly Law pawnshop was most likely because it was out of control. Soul creation heavenly cauldron used its own consciousness and did not want to be controlled, so it lost control. Qin Yun did not dare to forcefully control the soul creation heavenly cauldron to prevent it from running away. She said yes, it just needs a little time. Ling Yun smiled and said, "It finally worked." "Yes." Qin Yun smiled slightly. "Otherwise, I really can't face Elder Kong." "All right, Yuner," asked the Ascendant Elf, "what's the difference between the energy she's absorbing now and the Chaos 9 elemental energy?" After Ling Yun asked, she said that the difference is quite big. The energy absorbed now contains a little bit of primal Chaos 9 origin power. As expected, the final goal of the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation is to release the chaotic 9 elemental energies. Qin Yun pondered and said, "If I can create 9 primal divine sons and use them to power the 9 dragon heavenly origin formation, I can condense a very strong primal chaos 9 origin power." "Xiao Yun, take it slow. You should first collect the divine universe Dragon Balls and use them to create a 9 dragons heavenly origin formation." Ling Yun laughed. "I only have 2 Dragon Balls in my hand. I still lack 7. Qin Yun shook his head and sighed. "It's far away." Qin Yun also took the opportunity to let Ling Yun talk to the Cauldron Spirit and ask it about some matters. He wanted to further understand the soul creation heavenly cauldron. Outside the secret room, Kong Chung is anxiously pacing back and forth. He is worried that Qin Yun will fail and cause his master to die ahead of time. Of course, he was also prepared for the worst. Even if Qin Yun failed, he would not blame Qin Yun, because Qin Yun's original intention was for the good of his master. Moreover, his master, Great Sage Wu, had also agreed to Qin Yun's request. While Kong Chung was waiting anxiously, Ji Jingshi hurried over. "Old man Kong, what are you doing here? Why don't you go in to see Master?" Ji Jingshi said coldly, his eyes filled with coldness. "Master is in seclusion. He asked me to guard outside." Kong Chung said, "I want to see Master." Ji Jingshi said, "I know that you brought someone to see Master. That guy is the bastard who killed my subordinates, right?" Kong Chung said coldly, "Master is in seclusion inside. He asked me to guard outside. If you want to force your way in, I can only fight you to the death." "Old man Kong, the guy who defeated Master is here again. They are very arrogant. I came to ask Master to fight." Ji Jingshi said, "I'm doing this for the honor of our entire sect. Quickly get out of the way. You don't know what kind of state Master is in right now. You actually want him to fight. You want him to die quickly, right?" Kong Cheng's voice is getting colder and colder. That kind of ice-cold, killing intent is slowly surging out. "What is your friend doing inside? You can't be colluding with that guy to attack Master, right?" Ji Jingshi is very anxious about this matter. Kong Chung coldly groaned and said, "I don't know. In short, Master said that he has something to discuss with my friend, and my friend is helping Master heal. Oh, that's right, my divine dragon tooth was given to me by my friend. Your divine dragon tooth was given to you by that bastard? What kind of background does that bastard have? Ji Jingshi's eyes are filled with jealousy and greed. It can be seen that he is very jealous of Kong Cheng's divine dragon tooth. That's why his greedy gaze is showing. It is as if he wants to rob Kong Cheng. My friend is very powerful. Moreover, he is very low-key. Even if I told you about his background, you wouldn't know. After all, a guy like you who considers everyone else beneath him must have no experience. My friend is an inscription master, a very strong one at that, Kong Cheng said with sneer. Ji Jingshi also recalled the blue robe that Qin Yun is wearing. There are many runes on it. He just didn't expect that a late-stage Saint Realm guy would have a divine dragon tooth and even casually give to someone else. He truly misjudged Qin Yun. Old man Kong, if something happens to Master, just you wait and see. Ji Jingshi furiously shouted, then turned around and left. Kong Cheng coldly smiled. Ji Jingshi, you are so concerned about Master. Are you trying to obtain something from him? Ji Jingshi immediately stopped. His back is facing Kong Cheng. His voice is filled with incomparable coldness and said, Old man Kong, don't think too much, otherwise you won't live to see the day the sun sets. Are you threatening me? What are you and your father planning? Kong Cheng is now certain that Ji Jingshi has some kind of goal to become the disciple of great sage Wu. Old man Kong, you don't even know what kind of treasure Master has. As a former big brother, you are such a failure. Ha ha ha. Ji Jingshi wildly laughed and said, Old man Kong said that after his death, his inheritance will only be passed on to his eldest disciple, and I am his eldest disciple. Ji Jingshi finished speaking and quickly left. Kong Cheng narrowed his eyes, killing intent burst out. If Ji Jingshi did not leave quickly, Kong Cheng might have already attacked. Ji Jingshi, just you wait. Kong Cheng only hopes that his master can live a little longer, so that Ji Jingshi will not succeed. Although Qin Yun is inside the secret room, he can still hear the voices outside. This is just as he guessed. Ji Jingshi indeed has a scheme. That's why he became the disciple of Great Sage Wu. Great Sage Wu's soul is inside the Spirit Creation Heavenly Cauldron. It is being tempered by the energy released by the Spirit Creation Heavenly Cauldron. The Spirit Creation Heavenly Cauldron absorbs the energy of the Nine Dragon Heavenly Origin Formation to temper the soul. Because there is no true primal chaos 9 elemental power, the progress is rather slow. Xiao Yun, Great Sage Wu should be in a state of deep sleep now. After he wakes up, ask him about Ji Jingshi's situation. Ling Yuner said, and Great Sage Wu must know what Ji Jingshi is thinking. Qin Yun is suddenly not that worried because after he met Great Sage Wu, he knows that he is not that easy to swindle. The Spirit Creation Heavenly Cauldron Soul Restoration is also on the right track. The speed is gradually increasing. At first, Qin Yun only planned to strengthen Great Sage Wu's remaining soul, but later he discovered that the soul has actually given birth to a soul. If this goes on, his other 8 souls and 8 souls will be reborn. Qin Yun said in shock, this Spirit Creation Heavenly Cauldron is truly heaven-defying. It can allow missing souls to be reborn. Your father already said that you can duplicate the 9 souls and 9 souls and create a soul martial spirit. Ling Yun said with smile, if you can master the primal chaos 9 elemental power, you will be invincible. The progress is very smooth, but it takes a long time and consumes a lot of energy. Looks like I need to consume 9 Divine Universe Golden Stones. Qin Yun checked the Divine Universe Golden Stones inside the Dragon Rune Heavenly Saber and estimated. This is, after all, an attempt. It will let us experience the power of the Spirit Creation Heavenly Cauldron. Qin Yun said with smile, losing these Divine Universe Golden Stones is also worth it. Ling Yun said, Xiao Yun, the Spirit Creation Heavenly Cauldron should have many uses, it's just that we haven't discovered it yet. Qin Yun nodded and said, Unfortunately, the spirit creation heavenly cauldron needs to absorb a lot of primal chaos, 9 elemental power. Otherwise, I would be able to study it often. In the blink of an eye, 3 days pass by, and Qin Yun is still inside the secret room. Ji Jingshi came again and shouted, "Old man Kong, Master still hasn't come out?" "Don't worry, Master won't die," Kong Chung said with sneer. "Oh, that's right. Didn't you say that someone came to challenge Master? You are the eldest disciple. Why don't you fight?" "I also want to, but he is an inscription dome master, and I am not. How can I fight him?" Ji Jingshi said, "Master is about to die, but now he is in seclusion with your friend of unknown origin. The guy won't kill Master, right?" Kong Chung said, "My friend wants to extend Master's life. What do you think?" Ji Jingshi said with sneer, "Don't bullshit. Is your friend the incarnation of the heavenly Tao? He can extend the life of a person who has reached the end of his life. Just wait and see." Kong Chung closed his eyes and no longer paid attention to Ji Jingshi. Ji Jingshi can't do anything because he knows very well that if he were to charge in, Kong Chung would definitely fight him with his life on the line. A desperate Kong Chung is also not easy to deal with. Qin Yun spent 10 days inside the secret room. He checked the inside of the spirit creation heavenly cauldron and discovered that the 9 souls and 9 spirits inside are complete. "Very smooth," Qin Yun said with a smile. He opened the lid of the spirit creation heavenly cauldron and brought Great Sage Wu's soul into his body. After the soul returned to his body, Great Sage Wu immediately woke up. His eyes immediately flickered with golden light, filled with vitality. In the blink of an eye, Great Sage Wu's white hair turned jet black. He looks like he has revived from the dead. His vitality is very vigorous. Chapter 2027. The same power that erupted from Great Sage Wu's body was very strong. Qin Yun was watching from the side, and he could feel a burning sensation. He was shocked because Great Sage Wu's saint power was very special, and it gave him a very familiar feeling. "Strange. Why do I have such a feeling?" Qin Yun was alarmed. "Little Yun, how do you feel?" Ling Yun didn't feel anything. "I feel that this saint energy is the same as Sacred Desolate's saint energy. Sacred Desolate also has saint energy." Qin Yun's face is filled with doubt. The Sacred Desolate absorbed the power of the 9 suns and released this kind of aura. Ling Yun said, "Different people should have different holy power, right? Why is Sage Wu's saint energy like the Sacred Desolate's saint energy?" "So it is very strange." Qin Yun shook his head. After Great Sage Wu broke through the bottleneck and stepped into the early quintessential saint stage, he did not stop and continued to break through. Not long after, the saint power released from his body was actually enveloped by 8 layers of light. His saint energy was at the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Is he going to break through to the mastery quintessential saint stage? Qin Yun was pleasantly surprised. He said with a smile, "That's not bad." After Great Sage Wu broke through, his saint power became even more powerful. Even Qin Yun found it hard to bear. After all, he was only at the late-stage saint realm. When Great Sage Wu broke through, the holy power that erupted from his body was very wild, and it brought with it a piercing heat. Just as Qin Yun guessed, the saint power released by Great Sage Wu's body suddenly appeared with 9th layer radiance. 9 levels of saint energy was equivalent to the mastery quintessential saint stage. Great Sage Wu had stepped into the mastery quintessential saint stage, and the saint energy in his body continued to erupt for a period of time before it gradually weakened. Half an hour later, Martial Sage heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at Qin Yun with eyes filled with gratitude and reverence. He could tell that Qin Yun was not an ordinary late-stage Saint Realm expert. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to do such a heaven-defying thing. Great Sage Wu is very clear about the situation of his soul. Originally, he only had 1 soul left, but under Qin Yun's soul refining, his 8 souls and 9 spirits were reborn. Many thanks for Senior's help. Great Sage Wu promptly walked down and wanted to kowtow to Qin Yun, but Qin Yun promptly held him up. "Senior Wu, no need to be so polite," Qin Yun immediately said with a smile. How would I dare to be your senior? Martial Sage laughed at himself. I said you're my senior, so you are my senior, Qin Yun said with smile. Martial Sage asked curiously, Brother Qin, are you really only at the late stage Saint realm? What you've done doesn't seem like the Sage realm at all. Even a cultivator at the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage would find it difficult to accomplish such a feat. In my previous life, I was a god of the divine wasteland. However, I reincarnated. Qin Yun said, I have also offended the heavenly law divine realm, so I asked Brother Wu not to spread this matter. Great Sage Wu quickly nodded and said, so that's how it is. Only a powerful deity from the divine wilderness can have such power. Qin Yun faintly smiled. Don't tell Elder Kong about this matter. I know. Martial Sage nodded. Oh, that's right, Brother Wu. The saint power on your body is very strange and also very strong. Qin Yun has always been suspicious about this matter and asked, your saint power is very similar to Sacred Desolate's power. Great Sage Wu said, this is a kind of innate rune that allowed me to obtain this kind of formidable saint power. Even I don't know what kind of rune it is. As he spoke, he spread out his palm and many densely packed runes appeared on his palm. I have this kind of rune all over my body. Brother Qin, you come from the Divine Desolate. What kind of rune is this? Qin Yun carefully looked at it and exclaimed, this is a desolate rune. Desolate rune? Great Sage Wu said in shock. I have never heard of this kind of rune. This is a very special kind of rune. It evolved from the Sun Heavenly Rune. It is bestowed by the Great Desolate to the creatures born at the beginning of the Great Desolate. Qin Yun said, generally speaking, the creatures with desolate runes are mainly beasts and humans. Through the desolate runes, they grasp a very strong power and want to protect the Great Desolate. So that's how it is, but it seems that I didn't fulfill my duty to protect the Sacred Desolate. Great Sage Wu sighed with guilt. That's because you were born with a defect, missing 9 souls, so you can't sense the Sacred Desolate. Qin Yun said with smile. Not long from now, you might be able to sense the call of the Sacred Desolate again. Under his control, the Desolate rune on Great Sage Wu's palm gradually hid under his skin. These Desolate runes are very strong and have helped me a lot over the years, allowing me to become a powerful inscription master. Otherwise, if I were missing 9 souls, it would be impossible for me to have my current achievements. Great Sage Wu is very grateful to these desolate runes. Qin Yun said, Brother Wu, I am preparing to set up a great formation. When the time comes, can you use desolate runes to help me set up the formation? Great Sage Wu quickly replied, of course, to be able to set up a formation with Brother Qin, I am extremely honored. Oh, that's right. Brother Wu, what's going on with Ji Jingshi? Qin Yun told Great Sage Wu about Ji Jingshi. After Great Sage Wu heard this, his face sank and said, this father and son pair have been waiting for me to die so that they can obtain the desolate runes on my body and my son's soul. Since Brother Wu knows their plot, why did you still accept that guy as your disciple? Qin Yun said with a frown. Great Sage Wu coldly snorted and said, they begged me for many years, and Ji Jingshi's performance at that time was extremely good. However, after he became my disciple, his true colors were gradually revealed. In addition, his father found out that I am missing 9 souls and used this to threaten me. I can only beat them at their own game. First, I let the other disciples leave the sect and alienate me. Then, I plan to perish together with the father and son before I die. Great Sage was only late stage Great Saint Realm before, but now he is late stage Quintessential Saint Realm. In addition, he has mastered desolate runes, and his saint power is even more powerful. It can be said that it is difficult to find an opponent in the Sacred Desolate. Let's go. Elder Kong has been waiting outside for a long time. He must be very worried. Qin Yun said with a smile. That Ji Jingshi has also come many times. Great Sage Wu laughed. Under his control, his jet black hair and eyebrows suddenly turned white. He said, I want to maintain my original appearance and make them think that I am very weak. This is also good. The guy who defeated you with inscription battle technique is here again. You can take this opportunity to teach them a lesson. Qin Yun said with a smile. Great Sage Wu and Qin Yun went out together. After opening the door, Kong Chung promptly walked over and looked at Qin Yun and Great Sage Wu. Master, how are you? Kong Chung can see from Great Sage Wu's eyes that his master is a lot more spirited. Many thanks to little brother Qin's help. I can still live for a few more years. Great Sage Wu said with smile. Chung, I will find time to help you refine the divine dragon tooth into a weapon. Very good. Kong Chung is extremely happy and then immediately told Qin Yun about Ji Jingshi. Great Sage Wu has late-stage quintessential Saint Realm cultivation, but Kong Chung cannot see through it. Kong Chung is also somewhat worried that Ji Jingshi's father will deal with Great Sage Wu. Don't worry, I will take care of him. We can talk about this later. I will first go meet those guys who take advantage of people's difficulties. Great Sage Wu walked a few steps and said to Qin Yun, Brother Qin, when you see Ji Jingshi, don't say anything to him. Just leave it to me. All right, Qin Yun nodded. Qin Yun and Kong Chung followed Great Sage Wu to a large hall outside. Just as they went out, Ji Jingshi promptly rushed over. Ji Jingshi saw that his master is very spirited, and his eyes flash with disappointment, but his face is filled with smile. Master, it's great that you've recovered. Ji Jingshi glanced at Qin Yun. He did not expect Qin Yun to be such an expert. He can make a dying person recover so spirited. Of course, Ji Jingshi is not clear about Great Sage Wu's situation. He only thinks that Great Sage Wu is forcefully prolonging his life and won't be able to hold on for long. After arriving at the large hall, Qin Yun saw a few people with arrogant expression. These 5 people have faint dragon power aura. 2 of them are old men. The other 3 are middle-aged. Variant dragon race. Qin Yun said in low voice. Master, these few variant dragon race friends want to challenge you again. They want to compete with you in inscription battle technique. Ji Jingshi said. No problem. Great Sage Wu faintly smiled. I have been in seclusion to heal my injuries these past few days. I have made you all wait for a long time. How about we go out and compete in the sky outside? Great Sage Wu, if you lose, hand over your sun soul to us. How about it? The valiant old man from the variant dragon race said. Then what if you lose? Great Sage Wu said. If we lose, we will give you a divine universe dragon pearl. It is the divine universe fire dragon's dragon pearl. The old man said with smile. No problem. Great Sage Wu feels that he won't suffer any loss after hearing this, and immediately agreed. Qin Yun is very happy in his heart. He did not expect that these variant dragon race people would have the divine universe fire dragon's dragon pearl. If Great Sage Wu obtained it, he would propose an exchange, and Great Sage Wu would not refuse. Great Sage Wu and the variant dragon race old man signed a soul contract. Qin Yun seems to be able to see something because Ji Jingshi seems to be very happy. This made him suspect that Ji Jingshi and the variant dragon race people are in cahoots. Ji Jingshi must have reported Great Sage Wu's situation to the variant dragon race and even instigated Great Sage Wu to go out and compete. However, Ji Jingshi and the variant dragon race don't know that Great Sage Wu is no longer the Great Sage Wu from before. It can be said that he is now Wu Tiansheng, and a very strong one at that. Kong Chung is somewhat worried. He pulled Qin Yun and said with sound transmission, Little brother Qin, what is going on with my master? Why is he so confident? Can he win? He lost before. Don't worry, he will definitely win. Qin Yun very confidently said. Great Sage Wu only had 1 soul before, but his inscription level is very high. Now that he has been reborn with 8 souls and 9 bodies, in addition to his cultivation breakthrough, his inscription mastery has become even stronger. Great Sage Wu and the variant dragon race old man flew out of the main hall and arrived in the sky far away from the tall mountain. Chapter 2028. Qin Yun heard Ji Jingshi's voice from behind and sneered in his heart. Great Sage Wu said before that he would take care of Ji Jingshi, but Ji Jingshi still doesn't know that he is about to be finished. Great Sage Wu obtained a new life, and his vitality is vigorous. His cultivation has broken through a lot, and his strength has increased by a lot. He is no longer worried about Ji Jingshi and his son. Great Sage Wu flew into the sky and looked at the old man from the variant dragon race. The variant dragon race's inscription level is very good. When Qin Yun was in the Immortal Desolate, he fought with the variant dragon race's inscription Do Shi. The old man from the variant dragon race looked at Great Sage Wu with a face full of confidence and said with smile, "Great Sage Wu, you are only late-stage Great Saint Realm, but you have such a high level of inscription. It is really not easy. I heard from your disciple that your lifespan is almost up. You still dare to fight with all your might before you die. Truly admirable. Since you already know my situation, let's hurry up and begin. I can't live for more than a few days. I cherish my time very much." Great Sage Wu's expression is indifferent as he looked at the old man and said, After Great Sage Wu and the old man from the variant dragon race are ready, they began the duel of inscription masters. Both of them can draw runes in 10 lines with both hands. Moreover, the blood soul power they released has 3 layers of brilliance. They are both high-level Saint Realm inscription Saint Masters. Qin Yun is somewhat astonished because Great Sage Wu is considered a peak inscription master in the Sacred Desolate, but his blood soul power is only high-level Saint Realm. He thought that Great Sage Wu's blood soul power is at least King Saint level. The old man from the variant dragon race is the same. His blood soul power is high-level Saint level, but it doesn't seem to be as powerful as Great Sage Wu. The others couldn't tell which of the 2 blood soul powers was stronger. However, Qin Yun can tell that because Great Sage Wu has desolate runes, his saint power is very strong. In addition, he now has a complete soul, and his body has been tempered by desolate runes. Whether it is the power of his body, saint power, or soul power, they're all very powerful. The blood soul power condensed together is quite terrifying. Even my blood soul power might not be a match for Great Sage Wu. Qin Yun exclaimed in admiration in his heart. Little Yun, you've only just cultivated the blood soul energy that's at the saint stage. Moreover, the martial sage is at the mastery quintessential saint stage. Moreover, he's an old fellow. Ling Yun said with a smile. If you had his cultivation, your blood soul power would be at the king's saint level. For Qin Yun to be able to cultivate high sacred level blood soul power means that his blood soul power is first-rate in Sacred Desolate. Great Sage Wu and the old man from the mutated dragon tribe drew the patterns in extremely fast speed. However, Great Sage Wu was even faster. Not long after he started, he had already drawn a set of runes that looked like a top. The spinning top was huge, like a small mountain. It was completely blue, and as it spun, it flickered with blue lightning. Qin Yun looked at the spinning top with a frown. He is extremely shocked in his heart, because the runes used by the top are all Dao evolution runes. What shocked him the most was that those runes were evolved from desolate runes. Great Sage Wu's innate desolate runes have already been thoroughly studied by him. It can be said that he is incomparably familiar with his own desolate runes. Moreover, he can use desolate runes to coordinate with other runes. In this way, when he draws desolate runes, he can instantly draw runes, and then simply draw other runes. The old man from the mutated dragon race is extremely shocked and shouted in alarm. Great Sage Wu, how did you become so powerful? Compared to me before, your blood soul power wasn't that powerful. Because I broke through. After Great Sage Wu finished speaking, he controlled the blue top to fly over. The old man from the mutated dragon race did not finish drawing his runes at all. However, Great Sage Wu has drawn a spinning top with extremely strong attack power. As the blue top spun, lightning flashed and thunder rolled. Energy soared to the sky, bringing along a burst of berserk energy as it whizzed over. The wind and clouds immediately surged between heaven and earth. Just this kind of imposing manner is enough to make people feel fear. Wait, the old man from a mutated dragon race shouted in panic. He doesn't want to admit defeat, but he is also afraid of the spinning top. He can only shout wait, and hope that Great Sage will show mercy. Boom! The blue top is as big as a small mountain. it fiercely flew over and attacked the body of the old man from the mutated dragon race. Roar! The old man suddenly transformed into a crocodile dragon. The dragon scales and crocodile skin on his body were torn apart by the spinning top. His body became badly mangled. You lost. Great Sage Wu's expression is indifferent as he said. During a battle between inscription masters, one cannot use one's formidable power to block attacks. And the old man from the mutated dragon race released very strong saint power to defend, so this is equivalent to losing. This is the stipulation of the soul contract. The old man from the mutated dragon race had no other choice. If he did not change into his original form and release formidable saint power to defend, he would have been seriously injured by the blue top. Apart from Qin Yun, there is no one present who is not shocked by Great Sage Wu's strength. Earlier, Great Sage Wu was suppressed by the old man from the mutated dragon race. Moreover, he was seriously injured and lost in an extremely unsightly manner. This matter has already spread throughout the entire Supreme Saint City and Supreme Saint Palace. That is why Ji Jingshi said that Great Sage Wu lost face for him. And now, Great Sage Wu actually ended the battle as soon as it began and obtained victory. You lost. Hand over the divine universe fire dragon pearl to me. Great Sage Wu said coldly. Qin Yun also noticed Ji Jingshi's expression. Ji Jingshi is also very shocked, but his eyes flashed with ruthlessness and disappointment. It could be seen that he did not want his master to win. Qin Yun can tell with a glance that Ji Jingshi must have received some benefits from the mutated dragon race. That is why he allowed his master to fight and provided information about Great Sage Wu to the mutated dragon race. Because they signed the soul contract, the old man from the mutated dragon race has no choice but to hand it over. He can only gnash his teeth, angrily took out a box, and handed it over to Great Sage Wu. Let's go. The old man from the mutated dragon race coldly groaned. Congratulations, master, on your victory. I will immediately send off the few friends from the mutated dragon race. Ji Jingshi promptly flew over and chased after the few people from the mutated dragon race. Let's go back. Great Sage Wu laughed, then returned to the main hall on the mountain top and arrived at a living room. Kong Chung is extremely happy. He said with smile, Master, it seems like your cultivation has already broken through. What is your current cultivation? Late stage quintessential saint realm. Great Sage Wu faintly smiled, looked at Qin Yun and said, It is all thanks to the great help of this expert that I was able to escape from death and break through bottleneck. He finished speaking and took out the box and handed it over to Qin Yun. Inside the box is the divine space fire dragon pearl. Qin Yun thought that he would have to exchange some things with Great Sage Wu. He did not expect that Great Sage would actually give him the divine space dragon pearl. Brother Qin, no need to be polite. Great Sage Wu laughed and said, Without your help, I would not have been able to win. Since it's like this, I can only accept it. Qin Yun said with smile. He returned the courtesy and gave a divine space golden stone to Great Sage Wu. He placed it in a box and told Great Sage Wu to go to Divine Desolate to open it. Therefore, Great Sage Wu does not know that there is a divine space golden stone inside. Little brother Qin, you are truly awesome. You truly helped extend Master's life and even made him so strong. Kong Chung said with mischievous laugh, worthy of being an influential person in Immortal Desolate. Great Sage Wu said, Brother Qin, you said before that you wanted me to help you set up a formation. What kind of formation is it? That formation is for me to find the sacred desolate sun sacred land. Qin Yun took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow and told Great Sage Wu about the specific situation. The sun-suppressing divine arrow needs to pass through a formation to form a connection with the sun in the sky, and then sense the sun-suppressing divine arrow in the Azure Dragon's hand. As for whether or not it will succeed, Qin Yun is not sure. Speaking of the sun's sacred land, Great Sage Wu let out a long sigh. I have been searching for the sun's sacred land for many years. That is my birthplace. Master, you were born in the sun's sacred land? Kong Chung said in amazement. How come I have never heard you mention this? Qin Yun is not surprised at all. Great Sage Wu has desolate runes on his body. He was born with them, so it is not strange that he was born in the Sun's sacred land. However, he is still a bit doubtful and asked, "Brother Wu, how did you leave the Sun's sacred land?" "After I matured to a certain stage in the Sun's sacred land, I was suddenly teleported to the sacred desolate by a spatial power." Great Sage Wu said, "I have been searching for my hometown for many years. I hope to die there." Kong Chung said with smile, "Master, it seems like little brother Qin is your benefactor. Not only did he save you, he also has a way to help you find your birthplace." Great Sage Wu said with smile, "Indeed, I am very grateful to him." Soon after, Kong Chung told Great Sage Wu about some of Qin Yun's matters in the Immortal Desolate. Great Sage Wu exclaimed in admiration again and again. "Brother Qin, it seems like your divine space dragon pearl is very important to you. If you use it to lay down the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation, it will be even stronger." Great Sage Wu said, "Don't worry, if I enter the Sun's sacred land, I will definitely do my best to obtain the divine space ice dragon's dragon pearl. I originally planned to exchange for that divine universe flame dragon pearl with Brother Wu." Qin Yun laughed and said, "I am very grateful to Brother Wu for the gift. Moreover, Brother Wu also wants to help me obtain the divine space ice dragon pearl. Thank you so much." Great Sage Wu waved his hand and said, "Brother Qin, you and I don't need to be polite. Master, is there really a divine space ice dragon inside the Sun's sacred land?" Kong Chung asked. "There is. Moreover, the divine space ice dragon watched me grow up. Maybe I can make him give the divine space dragon pearl to Brother Qin." Great Sage Wu muttered. Senior Ice Dragon said that his dragon pearl can be reborn. He did not even finish speaking when the main hall suddenly trembled violently. "Someone is attacking my main hall." Great Sage Wu's expression sank. He said in cold voice, "It is most likely the variant dragon race's bastards." The mountain protecting Great Formation has been activated. We should quickly ask the Supreme Saint Palace to send people over, Kong Chung said. "All right." Great Sage Wu took out a communication talisman and contacted the Supreme Saint Palace. Soon after, they walked out of the main hall together. After coming out, they saw that there are many giant flying ships all around. They are the variant dragon race's warships. Chapter 2029. Great Sage Wu is not panicking at all when he saw so many giant ships flying over. Instead, Kong Chung and the other disciples are very worried. Even though Great Sage Wu is still called Great Sage Wu, he is now late-stage quintessential saint, and the other disciples don't know about it. Even though Kong Chung knows that his master has already broken through, he can't help but feel flustered when he saw so many powerful giant ships. Great Sage Wu, don't you feel that the Divine Domain Fire Dragon Pearl is a bit heavy in your hands? The mutated dragon elder who had lost to Great Sage Wu earlier chuckled and said, "You're a person who's about to die. Not only do you have a Yang soul, you even have a divine universe fire dragon pearl. This is such a waste of a treasure." Great Sage Wu said with angry smile, "You bunch of bastards, are you looking down on a dying person like me? Have you forgotten how you lost to me before? Great Sage Wu, you are one of the 3 great inscription masters of the Supreme Saint Palace, yet you used despicable tricks to defeat me." The old man furiously shouted. "This is what your eldest disciple, Ji Jingshi, said. You are truly a despicable old thief." Ji Jingshi said it? What proof does he have? What's more, we signed a soul contract before. Great Sage Wu now wishes he could pinch Ji Jingshi to death. Your eldest disciple can't bear to see your way of doing things. He said that you were seriously injured and your lifespan is almost up. You are about to die, yet you have such formidable power. You must have used some method to win and even bypass the soul contract. The old man said, "Tell Ji Jingshi to come out." Great Sage Wu said in cold voice, "What? You want to kill me to silence me? Anyway, no matter what, I will take back the Divine Domain Fire Dragon Pearl today." The old man shouted, "Also, you use some method to win. That means you lost to me. Your sun soul is also mine. You bunch of bastards, don't even think about succeeding. Great Sage Wu said in anger. The Great Mountain Protecting Formation has already been activated, and those giant flying ships are now condensing formidable energy. Boom boom. Two giant ships shot out condensed energy balls towards the Great Hall on the mountain peak. The two energy balls collided with the Great Mountain Protecting Formation and erupted with a burst of gale and lightning, enveloping the entire mountain peak. Qin Yun and company are looking at the densely packed, violent lightning bolts in the sky. They can also sense the terrifying energy. Kong Chung whispered, "When the reinforcement from the Supreme Saint Palace arrive, it will be the death of these bastards." Qin Yun said, "The variant dragon race really found a very good excuse. It's all Ji Jingshi's fault. I was planning to deal with them when he and his father arrived." Marshal Sage grunted and said, "My mountain guarding formation won't be able to hold off the mutated dragon tribe's attack for long." Qin Yun said, "Brother Wu, bring me to the Array Foundation." All right. Great Sage Wu immediately brought Qin Yun into the main hall, and through a secret passage, they arrive at the Array base inside the mountain. After arriving at the Array base, Qin Yun released the 9-Dragon Heavenly Origin Array. Seeing the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation, Great Sage Wu exclaimed, "With the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation strengthening, the Great Mountain Guarding Array will be even stronger. We can hold on until the reinforcements from the Supreme Saint Palace arrive." Qin Yun nodded and said, "Let's go out. If you hide, the other disciples will feel very uneasy." Great Sage Wu immediately went out and waited with the disciples outside for the arrival of the Supreme Saint Palace's people. This place is not very far from the Supreme Saint Palace. Reinforcements will arrive very soon. This made the disciples feel more at ease. Qin Yun said, "The variant dragon race must have sent a lot of experts to snatch back the Dragon Balls. I wonder what kind of experts the Supreme Saint Palace will send. It's all because of that little bastard Ji Jingshi. He actually sold out Master. I really want to beat that bastard up." Kong Chung cursed in low voice. The variant dragon race old man is inside a battleship. Seeing how sturdy the Great Mountain Guarding Formation is, he very anxiously said, "Ji Jingshi, didn't you say that the Great Mountain Guarding Formation is very weak? Why hasn't it been breached yet? We spent a lot of energy." Great King Crocodile Dragon, I understand this mountain's Great Mountain Guarding Formation very well. It really shouldn't be this strong. Ji Jingshi also very anxiously said, "You bastard, why do you always give me wrong information? You clearly said that your master is on the verge of bursting and his injuries are very serious. That's why I dare to bet the Divine Space Dragon Ball with him." Great King Crocodile Dragon said very angrily. "It was indeed like that before, but later on, his injuries were healed by a guy. I told you about this before. That guy is very strange." Ji Jingshi said. Great King Crocodile Dragon said with frown, "Is it the young man beside Kong Chung? He has divine dragon tooth in his hands, and he even gave it to Kong Chung. This person's origin is definitely not ordinary." Ji Jingshi said, "I'm also investigating this person, but I can't find anything. Normally speaking, that bastard Great Sage Wu only has one soul, and that soul was injured by me before it was almost finished. But now it has recovered very well. It is even more powerful than before." Great King Crocodile Dragon said with frown, "It's all because of that mysterious guy." Ji Jingshi gnashed his teeth and looked at Qin Yun from inside the huge ship. Not long after, the Supreme Saint Palace's reinforcements arrived. Seeing more than 10 huge flying ships coming over from the distance, Great Sage Wu and Kong Chung let out a sigh of relief. Because their mountain-protecting Great Formation managed to hold on until the arrival of the Supreme Saint Palace's reinforcements. Supreme Saint Palace's huge golden ship flew over. There are many experts on it, and the ship's attack power is also very strong. These huge ships were originally prepared to go to Outer Heaven Domain in the future. They're very good in all aspects. Great Sage Wu, what's going on with you? Why did you provoke friends from the variant dragon race? A voice came from inside the Supreme Saint Palace's huge ship. Hearing this voice, Great Sage Wu's originally relaxed expression suddenly sank. Moreover, his expression became filled with anger. Jingsu, you should ask your son. You should first drive away those variant dragon race bastards. Great Sage Wu said in deep voice. Clearly, Jingsu is Jingshu's father. Great King Crocodile Dragon said. Third Palace Master, you came at the right time. Your Supreme Saint Palace's famous inscription master swindled our variant dragon race's dragon pearl. We are now taking it back. Jingsu is clearly in cahoots with the variant dragon race. Soon after, the Crocodile Dragon King continuously complained to Jingsu, saying that Great Sage Wu is very cunning and used some tricks to swindle his dragon pearl. Moreover, Jingshu also admitted to this matter, angrily scolding his master for being so cunning and shameless. Great Sage Wu is so angry that his entire body is trembling. He now secretly blamed himself for being too sentimental before. He should have killed Jingshu earlier. Great Sage Wu sighed. I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Jingsu sighed. Since it's like this, you should hand over the Divine Universe Fire Dragon Pearl and your son's soul. They belong to the variant dragon race. Qingyun is not surprised at all about this matter, because everyone knows that Great Sage Wu's lifespan is coming to an end, and Jingsu is the third palace master of the Supreme Saint Palace. No one would offend the third palace master for a person who is about to die. At this time, inside the 10 or so huge ships of the Supreme Saint Palace, there are many elders who are shouting, asking Great Sage Wu to hand over the Divine Universe Fire Dragon Pearl and Sun Soul to the variant dragon race. This angered Great Sage Wu so much that he wanted to go out and fight with his life on the line. At this time, Great Sage Wu finally realized that the people who respected him back then, after seeing that his lifespan was coming to an end, had no value in befriending him. They immediately cut off all relations with him. Many of the elders of the Supreme Saint Palace are criticizing Great Sage Wu. They don't know how powerful a soul contract is, but you seniors don't know. You clearly know that I am in the right, but you don't help me. Isn't it because I am about to die? Great Sage Wu said coldly. If not for Qingyun's help, he really would have died. The more it was like this, the more grateful he was to Qingyun, allowing him to clearly see the faces of these people. Qingyun is not surprised. He has seen this kind of thing many times. He is just surprised that Jingshu and his son really have some tricks up their sleeves. Great Sage Wu, you won unfairly. Even your brilliant disciple said that you swindled my dragon pearl. What else do you have to say? The Crocodile Dragon King said, if you don't hand over the Divine Universe Dragon Pearl and Sun Soul, then we can only continue to attack your Great Saint Peak. Jingsu said, Great Sage Wu, you have done this kind of thing. You have already lost the face of my Supreme Saint Palace. The Supreme Saint Palace will not help you. Moreover, as the third palace master of the Supreme Saint Palace, I announce today that you are expelled from the Supreme Saint Palace. You are no longer a member of the Supreme Saint Palace. Many of the elders of the Supreme Saint Palace also agreed. Jingsu, the Supreme Saint Palace still has the Great Palace Master and Second Palace Master. What right do you have to drive out an inscription master like me, a person of virtue and prestige? Great Sage Wu's heart is filled with anger. He said, I will contact the Great Palace Master and Second Palace Master. Jingsu said with sneer, the Great Palace Master and Second Palace Master have gone to the dragon race. If they knew about this, they would definitely not come because they feel that it is very embarrassing. Continue to attack. After the Crocodile Dragon King's cold voice spread out, the dozens of giant ships of the alien dragon race condensed energy balls and continued to attack the mountain. The crazy earth quaked, and the mountains shook continuously. All kinds of tyrannical gales wreaked havoc in this mountain range. Lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled in the sky. The continuous and violent attacks are very terrifying. And the most shocking thing is that the Great Mountain Protection Formation is extremely powerful. It has not been broken. Great Sage Wu is already contacting the Great Palace Master and Second Palace Master. After some attempts, he frowned and said in a deep voice, "I can't contact them. Could it be that these two guys also want to cut off all relations with me?" Qin Yun took out a communication talisman and contacted Qin Long. After he contacted Qin Long informed the immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor and asked him to go and support them. The immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor and the Red Sun Dragon Mother have already arrived in the Sacred Desolate. Because the immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor has the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation, his status is extremely high. Chapter 2030. Great Sage Wu sighed. "Brother Qin, you have a way. Let's go in and talk." He told all the disciples to enter the building and hide in peace. The alien dragon race's flying ships continued to attack for a while before finally stopping. At this moment, Ji Jingsu also arrived at the Crocodile King's cabin. "Old Ji, what's going on? Why is that guy's mountain protection formation so powerful?" The Crocodile King said anxiously, "Your son gave me a lot of wrong information. Otherwise, things wouldn't have turned out like this. Father, this really isn't my fault. It's all because of that evil fellow that old man Kong brought," Ji Jingsu said. Ji Jingsu was a middle-aged man with a round face and a little beard. His eyes were very small and narrowed into slits. His face was gloomy as he said, "Logically speaking, Great Sage Wu only has one soul. It's impossible for him to break through, and he's about to die. But now he has become so strong. That's right. That old fellow only has one soul. After he was injured by the Crocodile King, he was no different from a dead person. He couldn't even move. But he defeated the Crocodile King in an instant." Ji Jingshi said, "Brother Crocodile, did you underestimate Great Sage Wu when you fought him?" Ji Jingsu said, "Not at all. That guy's cultivation should have broken through to the late quintessential saint realm, and his blood soul power has increased by many times." The Crocodile King said very seriously, "If that's really the case, then we have to quickly attack that formation and get rid of Great Sage Wu in advance." Ji Jingsu's face darkened as he said, "If the Grand Palace Master and the Second Palace Master interfere, then we'll be in trouble. You have to know that Great Sage Wu broke through a bottleneck and extended his life. It's a terrifying existence. Father, if we don't get rid of that old fellow, then won't I be targeted by him?" Ji Jingshi immediately said in fear. "Not only you, I'll also be targeted by him." Ji Jingsu cursed in a low voice. "Jingshi, what's wrong with you? Why did you allow others to cure Great Sage Wu?" Ji Jingshi gritted his teeth and said, "It's all because of that bastard. I really didn't know that he was so heaven-defying that he could actually help Great Sage Wu extend his life and even help him break through." Then, Ji Jingshi told them what he knew. "That guy must be an expert," Lord Evil Dragon said. "To be able to make Great Sage Wu so strong, it can be said that he has remarkable abilities." Ji Jingsu said, "Maybe that mountain-protecting Grand Array was also strengthened by that person. Therefore, we must take down the Great Sage Wu as soon as possible. If we give him a chance to counterattack, we'll be in danger." Qin Yun and Great Sage Wu are inside the main hall. They are carving runes on a very large beast skin. Now, it was mainly Great Sage Wu who was drawing some desolate marks. Those desolate runes are all Daoyin runes. After they're drawn, they can change and flow. When the runes change and flow, they will produce a very powerful force. Desolate runes are runes derived from the Great Desolate. They have a certain resonance with the 9 suns. Qin Yun said, "The desolate rune I am carving now can absorb 9 suns' energy." Great Sage Wu said, "After I finish carving, it will be Brother Qin's turn to carve the remaining runes." Qin Yun nodded. With Sage Wu's desolate rune, it allowed him to establish a connection with the sun-suppressing divine arrow more smoothly. Attacks are still unceasingly coming from outside. Although there are unceasing tremors, it is very stable. The variant dragon race's attacks are still unable to break through this great formation. The fleet, led by the Supreme Saint Palace's third palace master, Jingsu, also launched an attack and bombarded the mountain protecting Grand Array. After Kong Chung saw this, he promptly ran over and loudly cursed. Jingsu's fleet is also attacking. Ignore them. Our reinforcements will arrive very soon. Qin Yun said with smile. My 9-dragon heavenly origin formation can hold on until the reinforcements arrive. Great Sage Wu's speed of carving Desolate Rune is very fast. He finished it in a short while. Next, Qin Yun will carve some special sun runes. Earlier, Qin Yun asked the door deity to hand over a talisman to the space god. It is a talisman that uses the sun as a medium to transmit information. The reason why only Qin Yun and the space god can use it is because their souls are all carved with special sun runes. The 9 sun-suppressing divine arrows also have this kind of connection. That's why Qin Yun wants to carry out this kind of experiment. Because he has Great Sage Wu's help, Qin Yun only used half a day to finish. Let's wait until the weather is clear to try. Qin Yun said with smile. It's already dark outside and those guys are still attacking. It's not time yet. Great Sage Wu said, to be able to return to the sun's sacred land is my wish for many years. I have always wanted to return to the sun's sacred land. On one hand, I miss my hometown. On the other hand, I want to find Senior Ice Dragon and see if he can help me cultivate the missing 9 souls. Master, your missing soul has already been refined by this expert, Kong Chung said with smile. Indeed, I really did not expect that there would be someone in this world who could control such power. Great Sage Wu laughed and said, even now, he feels that this is unreal. Late at night, Qin Yun arrived inside the mountain. He took out the beast skin formation he made today and guided the power of the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation into it. At daybreak, Qin Yun took out the communication talisman. It is Qin Long who is contacting him. Xiao Yun, I will immediately rush to Great Sage Wu's Great Saint Peak. Immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor and the others will also arrive soon. Qin Long said, Dad, you also came? Qin Yun is somewhat shocked and said with smile, I thought you wouldn't come. You obtained a divine domain fire dragon pearl. I'm the fire dragon god. Of course I have to go take a look. Qin Long said with mischievous smile, Dad, did Sacred Tiger King tell the dragon race where the sun's sacred land is? Qin Yun asked. No. Sacred Tiger King refused to say no matter what. However, I found out that those guys from Heavenly Law Divine Realm have already found the location of the sun's sacred land, but they are very secretive. We can't find any information. Qin Long sighed and said, Let's wait until you come. Qin Yun said. He put away the communication talisman and went outside. The mountain is still trembling unceasingly. The mountain protection formation, strengthened by the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation, is very strong. The dozens of giant ships of the variant dragon race are releasing berserk energy attacks, but they are still unable to break through. When it is almost noon, a wave of furious dragon roars suddenly came from the distance. The variant dragon race's giant ship immediately stopped attacking. The Crocodile King also flew out and looked into the distance and said with frown, A dragon is coming. What's going on? From the looks of it, it seems like a group of dragons are coming. Jingsu looked in the direction of the dragon roar and is very puzzled. Maybe they're just passing by. Jingshi said. The group of dragons from the dragon race arrived very quickly. Many huge dragons are circling in the air, circling around the Great Saint Peak and the dozens of giant ships of the variant dragon race. There are not many dragons, only 100 or so, but they are very powerful. Qin Yun also saw the Red Sun Dragon Mother and the immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor transformed into dragons. They are not the strongest among the group of dragons, but their status is the highest. Bastards of the variant dragon race, if you don't want to start a war, then hurry up and scram. Immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor shouted. Friend from the dragon race, my variant dragon race did not provoke you. The Crocodile King said. He tried very hard to raise his voice, but it was not very high. It is very obvious that he is afraid of the dragon race. The sacred desolate dragon race is a very powerful force in the sacred desolate. I was entrusted by someone to come and help great sage Wu. Immortal desolate dragon emperor furiously said, "If you don't leave now, you will never be able to leave." Ji Jingsu and Ji Jingshi also arrived beside the crocodile king. The dragon race was entrusted by someone to help great sage Wu. This is something that the variant dragon race and Ji Jingsu did not expect. Ji Jingsu said, "Friend from the dragon race, that great sage Wu is very despicable. He used all kinds of means to swindle the variant dragon race's divine universe, Fire Dragon Pearl." Bullshit. I understand the situation very clearly. It was clearly that crocodile dragon that was too weak. His skill was not as good as others, so he said others used all kinds of means. Immortal desolate dragon emperor furiously cursed. "Friend from the dragon race, did the great palace master and second palace master of the Supreme Saint Palace ask you to come?" Ji Jingsu is shocked in his heart and asked, "Who do they think they are to call us?" A dragon said very disdainfully. Ji Jingsu is even more shocked. To be able to call these powerful dragons of the dragon race, they are indeed not ordinary people. At this time, Qin Yun and Great Sage Wu also walked out of the main hall. Great Sage Wu and Kong Chung both know that this group of dragons was called by Qin Yun. They admire Qin Yun's ability even more. After Qin Yun came out, he shouted, "It was clearly someone who deceived his master and destroyed his ancestors, yet he framed Great Sage Wu." Soon after, Kong Chung spoke of Ji Jingshi's various evil deeds. Great Sage Wu also added a few things from the side. Great Sage Wu is quite famous in the Sacred Desolate. After all, he was one of the earliest people in this era. Although his cultivation has been stagnant, his level of inscription is extremely high. And now, everyone knows that Great Sage Wu was born without 9 souls, which is why his cultivation has been stagnant. This is even more admirable. Even though he is missing 9 souls, he is still so powerful. Now, everyone knows that Great Sage Wu has already stepped into the late-stage quintessential saint realm. His strength has naturally increased, so defeating the Crocodile King is also very normal. After listening to the ins and outs of this matter, Immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor laughed loudly and said, "Variant Dragon Race, you bunch of bastards can't afford to lose. That's why you did this." Another dragon said, "I never thought that the third palace master of the Supreme Saint Palace would actually be such a despicable person. Oh right, the great palace master and second palace master of your Supreme Saint Palace are both guests in my dragon race. When they found out that we came to help Great Sage Wu, they're also on their way." Ji Jingshi and Ji Jingsu, the father and son pair, had extremely ugly expressions on their faces. They had been defeated and thoroughly defeated. At this moment, waves of powerful heavenly might came from afar. Thick golden clouds accompanied by thunder and lightning surged over. "The fellows from the heavenly law divine realm are here," Qin Yun said with a frown. The heavenly man of the heavenly law divine realm arrived on a cloud. A heavenly man said, "The great Saint Peak's defense is so strong. If I'm not wrong, that is the power of the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation." Chapter 2031. The celestial being suddenly arrived. This caused Qin Yun to be extremely surprised. He did not know why the heavenly law divine realm had come, or if it was related to the variant dragon race. Although the natural law divine realm was very powerful, they still needed the divine universe fire dragon pearl, or the sun soul. Now that they had appeared here, Qin Yun could not help but suspect if the heaven realm wanted to snatch the divine universe dragon pearl as well. What does it have to do with you what power my grand protective spell formation releases? Great Sage Wu said in a deep voice, "Heavenly people of the natural law divine realm, don't interfere in this matter. Others might be afraid of you, but I, Great Sage Wu, am not." The golden mist in the air dissipated, and dozens of Devis appeared. They were all clad in heavenly armor and radiated holy power. From their holy splendor, one could tell that they were at least in the Great Sage realm and all of them had at least the fourth level of holy splendor. The leader of the Celestials was a square-faced, middle-aged man. Only he had the divine universe sword in his hand. He looked at Great Sage Wu and smiled faintly. Great Sage Wu, right? You have important desolate runes on you. Those desolate runes are of great use to us. If you are willing to hand them over to us, we will guarantee your safety. Qin Yun was alarmed. The heavenly man had actually come for the desolate inscription. Great Sage Wu didn't know about desolate runes before. He only knew that he was born with it, and it allowed him to obtain a very high talent in inscription. When he uses runes and adds desolate runes, the entire set of runes will become even stronger and he can draw them even faster. Ji Jingsu knew that Great Sage Wu had a strange rune on his body, but he didn't know that it was a desolate rune. However, they were the most likely to tell this matter to the heavenly beings. What desolate rune are you talking about? I don't know. Martial Sage shouted coldly. Natural law, divine realm, mutated dragon race. All of you should leave quickly. Don't force me to take action. Ji Jingsu laughed heartily and said, Great Sage Wu, a very powerful rune will appear on your body. That rune is neither a totem nor a heavenly rune. It can only be a desolate rune. The middle-aged man said, Great Sage Wu, I have seen the weapons you refined before. There are signs of desolate runes on them. Hand over the desolate rune. Great Sage Wu shouted furiously. I was born with that rune. Why should I give it to you? The middle-aged celestial said arrogantly, Your desolate rune was given to you by the heavenly Tao, and we are the incarnations of the heavenly Tao. I'm just taking back the desolate rune given to you by the heavenly Tao. What's wrong with that? Immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor said, Natural law, divine realm bastards, don't brag all day. What kind of heavenly Tao are you? Have you forgotten how badly you lost in Buried Heaven Land so quickly? The reason why we lost in the Buried Heaven Land was because of Qin Yun's enemy of the heavenly Tao. The middle-aged man said coldly, My heavenly law divine realm has chased after Qin Yun for several years. As long as we capture him again, we will definitely execute him publicly. At this moment, a large group of dragons suddenly flew over. The immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor, Scarlet Sun Dragon Mother, and the others had also taken human form. Seeing the dragon race's dragons arrive, Qin Yun felt a lot more at ease. However, he immediately realized that these powerful dragons are from the sacred Desolate Dragon race. The sacred Desolate Dragon race was not led by the immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor. If the immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor wanted to deal with the foreign dragon race, the dragons of the sacred Desolate Dragon race would help. If they wanted to fight against the heavenly law divine realm, then the sacred Desolate Dragon race would have to consider it carefully. Sure enough, Qin Yun could already see something from the expressions of the old dragons of the sacred Desolate Dragon race. Qin Yun's father, Qin Long, was also beside the immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor, his expression extremely solemn. Qin Long never thought that the heavenly law divine realm would interfere in this matter. Martial Sage was very clear that the heavenly law divine realm was here for him. If the heavenly law divine realm wanted to attack the Great Mountain Protection Formation, it might really be broken. Heavenly people of the heavenly law divine realm, listen up, I don't believe in the heavenly Tao. Martial Sage said coldly, I was born with the runes on my body. If the heavenly Tao really wants to take them back, then just take them away. Why would I let you dogs come? Ji Jingsu immediately shouted, Originally, you were going to return to the heavens, and the desolate marks would naturally return to the heavenly Tao. But who would have thought that you would do such a heaven-defying thing and forcefully extend your life? If the heavenly Tao wants to deal with a person, how could it allow that person to live? Martial Sage said angrily, In my opinion, you group of heavenly people are just raising the banner of the heavenly Tao to harm the common people and do whatever you want. The middle-aged man from the heavenly law divine realm looked towards the dragon race and said, Sacred Desolate Dragon race, are you guys going to interfere in this matter? We won't interfere. An old man from the sacred Desolate Dragon race said. Great Palace Master, Second Palace Master, Third Palace Master, what about you guys? I'm going to capture the Martial Sage. He is a member of the Supreme Saint Palace. The middle-aged man said with a smile. The Great Palace Master and Second Palace Master of the Supreme Saint Palace were both old men. They looked at the Martial Sage with a troubled expression. If they were to face the foreign dragon race, they would indeed not feel any pressure. But facing the heavenly law divine realm, their Supreme Saint Palace had to consider it carefully. At the moment, the Supreme Saint Palace was a powerful force in the sacred wasteland. It could be said that they were extremely resistant to the foreign dragon race, the outer realm, and the heavenly law divine realm. However, the Supreme Saint Palace did not dare to start a war with the heavenly law divine realm because they were not prepared yet. If they were to start a war, the Supreme Saint Palace might be surrounded and annihilated by a large group of forces from the heavenly law divine realm. At that time, they did not know if the Azure Flood School, D-Clan, and Sacred Desolate Dragon Race would help. Great Palace Master, Second Palace Master, you don't have to make things difficult for me. From today onwards, I, Martial Sage, am no longer a member of the Supreme Saint Palace. If you have to worry about the entire Supreme Saint Palace, you really don't have to destroy the Supreme Saint Palace for me. After all, we are friends, so I won't make things difficult for you. The Martial Sage said loudly. He was very clear about the current situation. Even the Sacred Desolate Dragon Race did not interfere, let alone the Supreme Saint Palace. Ji Jingsu sneered. Martial Sage, as long as you hand over your desolate mark, you'll be safe and sound. You insist on resisting the heavenly law divine realm, so you brought this upon yourself. My Supreme Saint Palace will naturally not pay a painful price for the trouble you have brought upon yourself. Qin Yun could also tell that the Supreme Saint Palace had already been infiltrated by the heavenly law divine realm. Ji Jingsu, the palace master, was standing on the side of the heavenly law divine realm. The heavenly law divine realm was powerful and had a large amount of resources. If they wanted to bribe a despicable person like Ji Jingsu, it would be as easy as flipping their hands. Qin Yun immediately sent a message to his father, telling him to stop the immortal desolate dragon emperor and the red sun dragon mother and not let them act recklessly. Xiao Yun, we will act according to the situation. Qin Long contacted Qin Yun through the communication talisman. Dad, you guys aren't strong enough. You don't need to do anything. Qin Yun replied, Martial Sage is very strong. Don't underestimate him. I'm worried about those fellows from the mutated dragon race. Mutated dragon race? Just leave it to us, Qin Long said. Qin Yun also had a plan in his heart. After the middle-aged man from the heavenly law divine realm confirmed that the Supreme Saint Palace and the Sacred Desolate Dragon Race would not make a move, he waved his hand. 10 old men suddenly appeared behind him. These 10 elders were all Heaven Realm cultivators. Each of them released a gigantic golden mountain. In just an instant, 10,000 feet tall mountains floated in the air. A young man said with a face full of pride, This is the 10 mountains' heavenly formation. The 10 mountains are all refined from sun god stone. The middle-aged man sneered. There are powerful heavenly runes inside the mountain. After absorbing the energy of the sun god stone, the power released is not any weaker than the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation. Great Sage Wu, you really hid your strength well. You actually have the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation. Ji Jingsu coldly snorted. You have the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation, but you hid it yourself and did not contribute it to the Supreme Saint Palace. It can be seen that you are not that loyal to the Supreme Saint Palace. The middle-aged man said, It might not be the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation. His desolate runes are very strong, so it's normal for the formation he set up to have a power similar to the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation. This immediately caused the dragon race, the mutated dragon race, and the expert from the Supreme Saint Palace to exclaim in shock. The desolate runes on Great Sage Wu's body are actually so powerful. No wonder the heavenly law divine domain wants to take them back. Qin Yun took out a purple gold divine universe sword and stuffed it into Great Sage Wu's hand. He also gave him many armor-suppressing sacred talisman tools. Great Sage Wu, those sacred talisman tools are used to deal with the heavenly armor. The purple gold divine universe sword in your hand is more than enough to deal with those heavenly beings. Qin Yun said, "The power of the heavenly beings is their heavenly armor. You should know this point." Great Sage Wu is secretly alarmed because he can already see that Qin Yun is preparing to attack. Boom! The 10 Mountains heavenly formation suddenly revolved around the Great Saint Peak and shot out a violent golden lightning bolt that bombarded the top of the Great Saint Peak. The energy is very strong. The Great Saint Peak violently trembled as if it was about to collapse. Fortunately, the Nine Dragons' heavenly origin formation is very strong. The powerful defensive power it released was able to resist the 10 Mountains heavenly formation. Great Sage Wu, wait for me to destroy the 10 Mountains heavenly formation. Then you can kill those heavenly beings. Qin Yun secretly transmitted his voice to Great Sage Wu. That 10 Mountains heavenly formation is very strong. Brother Qin, can you destroy it? Great Sage Wu asked with a voice transmission. The 10 Mountains heavenly formation is very weak. They only moved the 10 divine mountains over. A truly powerful formation would meticulously refine the materials needed to set up the formation. Qin Yun said with a smile, "They are just bragging." Boom! Another golden bolt of lightning attacked the Great Saint Peak. At this time, the Great Saint Peak is also enveloped by golden lightning and light mist. No one could see the situation inside, but they knew that the mountain protection formation was about to be broken. Qin Yun also took advantage of the fact that he couldn't see the Great Saint Peak's peak from the outside to use the light transformation sacred pupil to rush out of the formation. Suddenly, a golden altar that was as large as a mountain appeared in the sky. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw the huge altar. This is the Divine King altar of the 6 cities of the Divine King. The mutated dragon race, Ji Jingsu, and the others, as well as the sacred desolate dragon race, all thought that this altar was obtained by the heavenly law divine realm. Only the heavenly beings of the heavenly law divine realm knew that this altar had mysteriously disappeared. Now that it had appeared here, they felt extremely terrified, because the person who had the ability to control this altar must be extremely powerful, especially in terms of mental power. Chapter 2032. The 10 Mountain Sky Formation looked very strong, and its offensive power was also very terrifying. If it continued to attack the mountain protecting formation, it would definitely be broken. However, one of the 10 mountains of the 10 Mountains Heaven Formation had been smashed to smithereens. There are only 9 mountains left. As a result, the 10 Mountains Heaven Formation was instantly destroyed. The 9 mountains were simply unable to form a complete formation. Originally, the foreign dragons, Ji Jingsu, and the others were very excited, because they all thought that the altar was summoned by the Heaven Man. But now, they were completely frightened. This altar that suddenly appeared actually destroyed one of the mountains of the 10 Mountain Heaven array. Even the Devis were staring blankly at the glittering altar. Not many Celestials knew that the altar was missing, and only a few knew about it. Under Qin Yun's control, the altar suddenly spun on the spot and charged towards a huge mountain. In the blink of an eye, another huge mountain was crushed by the altar. Although these mountains that were used to set up the 10 Mountain Sky Formation were picked up from the Sacred Wasteland, the natural law divine realm had spent a lot of effort to refine them. Now that it had been smashed into pieces, their hearts ached. "Hurry up and take back those mountains," the middle-aged man shouted. Just as the elders in charge of controlling the mountain were about to retract the mountain, a bright light suddenly flew out from the top of the Great Sage Peak. Great Sage Wu had made his move. He rushed towards an old man in heavenly armor. As he rushed over, he threw out the flying knife in his hand. That flying dagger was an armor-suppressing, holy talisman weapon that could suppress the heavenly armor. After the flying knife flew over, the old man's heavenly armor immediately dimmed. At the same time, Great Sage Wu arrived beside the old man and waved the violet gold divine universe sword in his hand to split the old man in half. The sight left the exotic dragons, Long Zhu, and the others in the sky astounded. Great Sage Wu actually took the initiative to attack a celestial and even killed one of them. Just now, the saint energy released by Martial Sage's attack had caused the mastery quintessential saint stage powerhouses present to shudder in fear. This was mainly because Great Sage Wu's saint power was very strong. Qin Yun continued controlling the altar to collide with those mountains. In the blink of an eye, a few more golden mountains were crushed. The people of a natural law divine realm were also furious and immediately rushed towards the martial sage. And at this moment, in the air above the sun altar, a powerful spatial energy suddenly appeared, devouring the sun altar. Qin Yun, who was inside the altar, immediately knew that the spatial power came from the divine desolate. After the sun altar appeared, it was sensed. The divine wilderness released a very strong spatial force, wanting to pull the sun altar back into the divine wilderness. Qin Yun was inside the sun altar. If he followed the sun altar to the divine wilderness, he would not be able to pass through the spatial barrier. He immediately left the sun altar and stored the sun altar into the nine yang divine soul. Dozens of Devis rushed toward Great Sage Wu and surrounded him. Great Sage Wu was originally a very strong inscription dome master. His mental power is very strong. He controlled the throwing knives to form a formation and shot them out in all directions. In the natural law divine realm, there are only a dozen or so people in the late period of the quintessential saint realm. The rest were all in the Great Sage realm. Most Great Sage realm celestials were at a disadvantage when facing the Great Sage of martial arts. Even those mastery quintessential saint stage powerhouses were terrified after their heavenly armor lost its effect. Qin Yun already hid himself and watched Great Sage Wu's battle. Great Sage Wu released the armor-suppressing sacred talisman weapon and temporarily suppressed the defense of the heavenly armors. Then, he attacked the Great Sage Realm Celestials first. The Great Sage Realm Celestials are extremely weak in front of Great Sage Wu. Great Sage Wu only thrusted his sword from afar, and a very terrifying sword energy rushed out, piercing through the body of a Great Sage Realm expert and tearing him apart. The most shocking thing is that the moment Great Sage Wu attacked, he could transform the power of the Blood Soul into desolate runes and condense them into sword energy to attack, producing a very strong power. The group of Great Sage Realm Celestials just charged at Great Sage Wu, but in the blink of an eye, they were killed to the point of jumping up and down, screaming miserably as they flew away. Even the Heavenly Sage Realm Celestials, after losing the protection of the heavenly armor, were like mud, as long as they were pierced by Great Sage Wu's angry sword. Their bodies would be torn apart in an instant. Great Sage Wu slaughtered in the sky. This handsome-looking man was expressionless as he slaughtered, very deep and cold. Moreover, runes appeared in his eyes. Those are the desolate runes that he was born with. These desolate runes are really powerful. They can fuse with his blood soul power. Qin Yun exclaimed in his heart. During battle, fusing runes into saint power, this is a very brilliant technique. Xiao Yun, can you do it? Ling Yun asked. If I practice more, I can do it. Qin Yun said, however, I need to be more familiar with the inscription spirit. Currently, I can cultivate the Moon Lady inscription spirit into form. After I become proficient, I can fuse the moon runes into saint power. Ling Yun said with a smile, strictly speaking, your Nether Sun totem is also fusing with your power. The three forms that Qin Yun has cultivated are also three types of Nether Sun totem. They can indeed fuse with his power, causing his power and body to become very powerful. but I can't use it as naturally as Great Sage Wu. Qin Yun said. Great Sage Wu's desolate runes have completely fused with his soul and body. My Nether Sun totem is still not able to reach this state. Take your time. Great Sage Wu's desolate runes have been there since he was a child. Moreover, Great Sage Wu is the earliest human in this era. He has lived for many years. Ling Yin said with smile. Although you were once the Nine-Sun Palace King, you are still very young in this life. Qin Yin nodded and earnestly watched Great Sage Wu's battle. Great Sage Wu is very strong. Qin Yin believes that even if Great Sage Wu doesn't have the Suppression Sacred Talisman tool and the Purple Gold Divine Universe Sword, he would still be able to kill those heavenly beings and make them scream miserably again and again. In just a short moment, those heavenly beings were all killed. Fragments of heavenly beings are still floating in the air. The heavenly beings that the sacred desolate dragon race and the Supreme Saint Palace don't dare to fight against were all killed by Great Sage Wu alone. Great Sage Wu coldly looked at the alien dragon race's Crocodile Dragon King and Ji Jingsu and his son. The alien dragon race didn't attack earlier. They also didn't dare to attack. Heavenly beings were easily killed by Great Sage Wu. The alien dragon race are not stronger than heavenly beings. They definitely can't defeat Great Sage Wu. Great Sage Wu. Ji Jingsu's heart is filled with extreme fear because Great Sage Wu is currently staring at him. Master, I am your disciple. You want to kill me? Ji Jingshi is also incomparably afraid. He is very clear that if he is targeted by Great Sage Wu, he won't be able to escape. The Crocodile Dragon King shivered and said with a soft smile, Great Sage Wu, this is all a misunderstanding. Our alien dragon race was also tricked by this father and son pair. We have offended you before. Please forgive us. Boom. At this moment, a loud sound came from the distance. One of the alien dragon race's huge ship suddenly exploded. It was Qin Yin who used the Nine Heavens Dragon Lion Cannon to blow up a huge ship. When the Crocodile Dragon King saw the huge ship being destroyed, his entire body trembled again, because he knew that there is an expert secretly helping Great Sage Wu. The person who can help Great Sage Wu extend his life is definitely a very terrifying existence. A series of loud sounds came from the distance. It is Qin Yun continuously destroying the alien dragon race's huge ships. Great Sage Wu, we are from the same sect after all. I was also forced by the alien dragon race and the heavenly law divine realm. Ji Jingsu promptly begged for mercy. Then, he looked at the great palace master and second palace master and said, Two palace masters, please help me plead for leniency. Great Sage Wu suddenly appeared in front of Ji Jingsu in a flash and pierced his head with his sword. Ji Jingsu did not die, but his head was attacked by a very strong mental power, causing him to feel extreme pain. Father! Ji Jingshi is scared to death. He is usually arrogant and rude because he has a powerful father. It must be said that although Ji Jingshi is frightened, his legs did not go soft. Instead, he ran very fast. However, he did not fly far. Qin Yin suddenly appeared in front of Ji Jingshi and smashed his rod on Ji Jingshi's shoulder. A berserk and fierce saint power burst out. The moment the saint power burst out, the earth trembled from the impact. Everyone immediately looked at Qin Yun and saw that Ji Jingshi's shoulder and arm had been forcibly smashed into pieces by a rod. It's you. Ji Jingshi looked at Qin Yun and shouted in shock, anger, and fear. He knows that Qin Yun is the expert behind Great Sage Wu. It's me. Didn't you say you wanted to kill me? Qin Yun laughed coldly and said, Bring out your strength. Just as Qin Yun finished speaking, he once again smashed his rod. This rod's flame is very fierce. When it swept over, it brought along a violent and turbulent flame wave that enveloped Ji Jingshi. In the blink of an eye, Ji Jingshi was burnt to ashes and disappeared along with the flame. Goodbye. Great Sage Wu looked at Ji Jingsu and coldly smiled. The purple, gold divine universe sword in his hand howled with saint power. Ji Jingsu is, after all, the third palace master of the Supreme Saint Palace. His strength is very strong, and there are many elders of the Supreme Saint Palace present. Now that they saw Ji Jingsu being easily killed by Great Sage Wu, they are all extremely afraid of Great Sage Wu's strength. This kind of power is absolutely outstanding within the Sacred Desolate. Ji Jingsu has been killed, his fragments scattered with the wind. Strange dragon race bastards, you clearly lost to me, yet you say that I used some tricks. Great Sage Wu looked at the Crocodile Dragon King and coldly said, I, Great Sage Wu, always do things in an open and above-board manner. I never do things in the dark. While speaking, he stabbed at the Crocodile Dragon King. Although the Crocodile Dragon King is afraid, it is still very strong. It immediately transformed into a huge crocodile dragon. The other strange dragon race also transformed into their original forms. There are all kinds of fierce beasts with dragon characteristics. The purple gold divine universe sword in Great Sage Wu's hand is very sharp. In addition to his berserk desolate rune power, he can unleash even stronger might. Although these strange dragon race guys have become bigger, they have lost a certain amount of flexibility. Great Sage Wu dodged left and right. He can nimbly shuttle back and forth between these strange dragons. Then he quickly brandished his sword and sent formidable desolate rune saint power into those huge beasts. Chapter 2033. Great Sage Wu was originally filled with anger. Adding on the fact that he had just broken through and grasped a strong power, he wanted to see how strong he was. Whether it was the mutated dragon race or the heavenly beings of the heavenly law divine realm, they were all extremely arrogant just now. Making Great Sage Wu hand over the desolate marks, divine universe, dragon pearl, and sun soul, they were only so arrogant because they had more people. After Great Sage Wu seized the opportunity, he would naturally not show mercy. In just an instant, the sky above the Great Saint Peak became much quieter, only waves of death aura drifting in the air. After Qin Yun went over, he collected all the remnant souls and stood beside Great Sage Wu. Qinlong also came to Qin Yun's side. The other people from the sacred desolate dragon race and the Supreme Saint Palace all looked at Great Sage Wu in shock. Great Sage Wu, congratulations on your breakthrough. An old man from the sacred desolate dragon race said to Great Sage Wu, when I was still very young, I had long heard of your great name. Now that I can see you in person, it is even more admirable than the legends. Previously, the sacred desolate dragon race was unwilling to help Great Sage Wu. Not only the sacred desolate dragon race, the Supreme Saint Palace was also in an awkward situation. Great Sage Wu was very strong now. Even the Great Palace Master and the Second Palace Master were too embarrassed to speak. Sacred Desolate Dragon Race, I have long heard that your dragon race is a very powerful race. I never thought that you would be so afraid of the heavenly law divine realm. Great Sage Wu laughed. This made the dragons of the Sacred Desolate Dragon Race feel very unhappy, but they could not say anything because they really did not want to have a conflict with the heavenly law divine realm. Brother Wu, let's go back and talk, Qin Yun said. All right. Great Sage Wu nodded. Qin Yun and Qin Long followed Great Sage Wu back to the Great Hall of the Great Saint Peak. The Red Sun Dragon Mother and the immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor still had to stay in the sacred Desolate Dragon Race to understand their situation, so they did not follow them to the Great Saint Peak. The group of people from the Supreme Saint Palace all wanted to keep Great Sage Wu, but they did not say anything. On one hand, Great Sage Wu had completely offended the mutated dragon race and the heavenly law divine realm. If their Supreme Saint Palace accepted Great Sage Wu, they would definitely be besieged by these two powerful forces. Furthermore, Great Sage Wu had already drawn a line with them. No matter what, after today's battle at the Great Saint Peak, Great Sage Wu's name would be known throughout the holy wilderness. The Supreme Saint Palace and the sacred desolate dragon race knew very well that the expert behind Great Sage Wu was the most terrifying. Not only did he give great sage Wu new life, but he also obtained an altar. That altar was the godly monarch altar. The person who was able to take away the divine king's altar must have heaven-defying methods, and was not afraid of the natural law divine realm at all. The supreme saint palace and the sacred desolate dragon race left. Everyone go back and rest. Great sage Wu smiled at his disciples and said, "From today onwards, you don't have to worry about anything happening to me. I know that all of you have been preparing for my funeral." Kong Chung was incomparably excited and said with a smile, "Master, it's like you've been reborn. You're even stronger than before." The arrogance of the natural law divine realm made many of the disciples of the great sage Peak very angry. When they saw the great sage of martial arts sweeping away the group of heaven realm people, they all felt very relieved. Great sage Wu went to hand over some matters and communicated with many elders of the great sage Peak. Qin Yun and Qin Long arrived at a living room inside the great hall. "Dad, this is the divine universe fire dragon's dragon pearl." Qin Yun took out a dragon pearl and handed it over to Qin Long. Qin Long took it and looked at it, then said, "As expected of the divine universe fire dragon's dragon pearl, it's much stronger than mine." "Dad, what's the difference between this and your dragon pearl?" Qin Yun asked. "My dragon pearl was condensed from divine power, and the divine universe fire dragon's dragon pearl was condensed from the divine universe purple chi. What do you think is different?" Qin Long said, "The divine universe dragon came from the dragon transformation pool of the heavenly law divine realm. Back then, when the heavenly energy was at its peak, it could only create the divine universe dragon, but now it can't. The dragon transformation pool of the heavenly law divine realm? I've heard of it too." Qin Yin nodded his head. "I just feel that it's strange. Why would the divine universe dragon that was created betray the heavenly Tao?" Qin Long returned the divine universe fire dragon pearl to Qin Yin. After sitting down, he said, "The heavenly Tao created dragons, but these dragons received orders from the heavenly law divine realm. Back then, the divine universe evil dragon rebelled and wanted to establish his own sect. At the same time, he started a war with the Nine Sons royal family. That's why you were able to successfully seal the divine universe evil dragon back then. Looks like it's a problem with the heavenly law divine realm." Qin Yun said with a smile, "The heavenly man of the heavenly law divine realm is still the same." Qin Long chuckled and said, "That's right, because in the eyes of the heavenly man, as long as it's something that comes out of the pool, they will look down on it and treat it as a lowly creature. Then wouldn't we be even more despised by them?" Qin Yin shook his head and smiled. "Why would the heavenly Tao create something like the heavenly man to govern the heavenly Tao?" "I don't know," Qin Long said. "I heard from Yun Long that the heavenly Tao is already dead." "What's going on?" Qin Yin said, "I keep having the feeling that the heavenly Tao won't die. The heavenly Tao doesn't have the concept of life and death. The so-called heavenly Tao is already dead. It's just a new cycle of reincarnation." Qin Long looked at the ceiling and said, "Just like our 9 sons, falling into the 9 desolate looks like self-destruction, but it's actually nirvana rebirth. Dad, great sage Wu came from the sacred desolate's sun sacred land." Qin Yin told Qin Long about great sage Wu. After Qin Long finished listening, he said, "If that's really the case, then he should be returning to the sun's sacred land to accept a mission." "Mission?" Qin Yun said with a frown. "Is he the mission to obtain the desolate rune?" "Yes. Desolate runes are very special existences. They are something unique to the 9-yang heavenly domain." Qin Long said, "There should be similar people in the immortal desolate. However, none of them survived and were killed by the heavenly Tao long ago." Qin Yun nodded and said, "Great sage Wu was born without 9 souls. It seems like this is not a coincidence. The 9-yang heavenly domain secretly created many living beings. These living beings all have great potential. For example, I, your father, am one of them." Qin Long chuckled and said, "If I become stronger, I can enter a sun and become even stronger inside." I can become a 9-sun heavenly beast. Qin Yun said with a smile, Dad, that divine universe ice dragon betrayed the heavenly law divine realm back then. Was it accepted by the 9-yang heavenly domain? Of course. Only the 9-yang heavenly domain would dare to do such a thing. Qin Long said, We need to quickly enter the sacred desolate's sun's sacred land and find the divine universe ice dragon as soon as possible. I already have an idea. Qin Yun nodded and said, I have a great formation that can connect to the azure dragon through my sun-suppressing divine arrow. Soon after, Qin Yun told Qin Long the specifics of the process. Qin Long said, I also have sun-suppressing divine arrow. With mine, the effect might be even better. Qin Yun said with a smile, All right, then let's begin as soon as possible. Early morning the next day, Qin Yun and Great Sage Wu laid out the bee skin formation at a flat area of the Great Saint Peak. Qin Yun has already carved his own runes. The entire formation is already complete. 2 sun-suppressing divine arrows are floating vertically above the formation. The formation began to operate and released a burst of light. The 3 suns in the sky suddenly shone down with intense light. It's effective, Qin Yun said in pleasant surprise. 2 sun-suppressing divine arrows suddenly floated up. What made Qin Yun and Qin Long depressed is that the arrows are pointing in 2 different directions. Xiaoyan, what's going on? Qin Long asked. I want to find Azure Dragon's sun-suppressing divine arrow. Qin Yun has seen Azure Dragon's sun-suppressing divine arrow before. He has also recorded the sun runes on it. Could it be that there are 2 sun-suppressing divine arrows? Qin Long asked doubtfully. No, there are 2 places to enter the sun sacred land. Great Sage Wu said, In my memory, Sacred Desolate's sun sacred land is located in 2 extreme regions of Sacred Desolate, one south and one north. But the strange thing is that the 2 extreme regions of Sacred Desolate are very mysterious. They were originally at the end of the north and the south, but they suddenly disappeared. Qin Yun said, Let's wait and see. Noon. The 2 sun-suppressing divine arrows suddenly started spinning. Great Sage Wu said in surprise, Looks like those 2 extreme regions have always been moving. No wonder it's so hard to find. Great Sage Wu, who came out of the sun's sacred land, has been searching for it for many years. Then which way are we going? Qin Yun said. Xiaoyun, how about this? You guys go in one direction and I'll go in the other. Qin Long said, I'm not going by myself. I'm going to find a mortal, desolate dragon emperor and the others and bring some old friends with me. Qin Yun nodded and said, All right, we'll contact each other again. Let's go as soon as possible. The people from the heavenly law divine realm might have already found them. Qin Long said, I'll go find a mortal, desolate dragon emperor right now. The 2 sun-suppressing divine arrows already had the power of the sun inside them. They could guide them to the Azure Dragon's sun-suppressing divine arrows. After some discussion, Qin Yun let Great Sage Wu and Qin Long go together while he set off alone. Great Sage Wu was very strong and could fight against Heaven Realm beings. Qin Long, an immortal desolate dragon emperor, had just arrived at the sacred desolate not long ago, so their strength was very limited. Great Sage Wu arranged the Great Saint Peak and set up a great formation to hide it before leaving with Qin Long. Qin Yun also immediately set off towards the Sun Holy Land. Qin Yun is inside the Heaven Leaping Shuttle and controlling it to fly. Inside the Heaven Leaping Shuttle, he can study the Sun Dragon Totem or master some martial arts and cultivation techniques. He can also travel at the same time. This way he won't waste time. After flying for 3 days, Xian Rujing contacted Qin Yun through a communication talisman. Qin Yun, I want to enter that extreme inland. I might lose contact with you, Xian Rujing said. Qin Yun took out the spirit-chasing talisman and discovered that he cannot sense Xian Rujing. It means that Xian Rujing has already gone to a very far place, and that place can affect the transmission of soul fluctuations. Sister Rujing, you must be careful, Qin Yun said. Relax, I will surely find them. Xian Rujing said. On the road yesterday, I heard about the matter of the Great Saint Peak. Did you participate? You obtained a divine universe fire dragon pearl. You must take good care of it. Qin Yun said with smile. Relax, I am fine. I am on my way to the Sun Holy Land to find the divine universe ice dragon. Chapter 2034. Xian Rujing is ice and snow goddess. It is normal for her to want divine universe ice dragons, ice dragon totem. Qin Yun finds it strange that Xian Rujing attaches great importance to ice dragon totem. Not really, Xian Rujing said. When I obtained ice goddess godseed inheritance, I heard that if I want to become stronger, I need to fuse with ice dragon totem. If I fuse with ice dragon totem, will I become stronger? You are the Nine-Yang Palace Monarch. You should know, right? The Ice Goddess Totem was originally developed from the Ice Goddess Totem. Back then, it was created by the Heaven Creation Divine Palace according to the movements of the 9 suns and the stars and moon. Qin Yun said, as for the divine universe Ice Dragon's Ice Dragon Totem, it is bestowed by the Heavenly Tao. If you fuse with it, then your ice and snow power will indeed increase. Xian Rujing said, do your best to help me obtain Ice Dragon Totem. I heard that the divine universe Ice Dragon once sought out the previous Ice Goddess. As for what they wanted, I am not sure. All right, Qin Yun nodded and said, I will definitely get the Ice Dragon Totem. They warned each other to be careful of danger and then disconnected. I still don't know when we will be able to go to sacred, desolate sun, sacred land. Qin Yun looked at the sun-suppressing divine arrow, then let Zi Qingsheng, Shui Tianzi, and Long Tianji out. After becoming a saint, he had not cultivated with the 3 women. Inside the 9-sun divine spirit, Zi Qingsheng and the others would often circulate the Sun-Moon Heart Sutra to cultivate or refine some holy talisman papers. They had the Gemini treasure mirror. When they needed it, they would make some divine talisman weapons and use the 9 dragons' heaven origin formation to pour energy into them. Therefore, Qin Yun had many armor suppression sacred talisman weapons. Previously, Qin Yun had gotten them to create array flags to set up the armor suppression grand array. It would allow them to suppress the heavenly armor's power faster and more effectively. When Qin Yun saw Zi Qingsheng, he could not help but rub her beautiful face. He was also entangled by Shui Tianzi. Let's cultivate together. It's been a long time since we last cultivated together, Qin Yun said with smile, then released the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation and released the energy of the divine universe golden stone. When they were cultivating together, Shui Tianzi exclaimed, Little Yun, why do I feel that the energy you're releasing is even stronger? It might have something to do with my 9 solar saint veins. Qin Yun said, I no longer absorb energy through 9 sun divine spirit. Instead, I directly absorb energy through 9 sun sacred veins. Zi Qingchang frowned and said, the energy absorbed by the 9 sun divine spirit is not as good as the 9 sun sacred veins. I also feel that cultivating with you this time is different from before. I don't know yet, but it's a good thing, Qin Yun said with a smile. Tianzi, Tianzi said with smile. Tian, Shui Tianzi is wearing thin clothes. Her delicate and fragrant body is tightly leaning on Qin Yun's body, as she said with a grin. Qin Yun was already used to the water fairy's clingy actions. Sometimes, he could not help but touch the water fairy's smooth, jade-like skin or kiss her charming face. As for Zi Qingsheng, she was extremely serious. Her purple dress made her look especially noble. When she was cultivating, she closed her eyes in a very serious manner. She looked very alluring and cold. This made Qin Yun want to pinch her face even more. Long Tianji did not close her eyes. She is wearing the same clothes as Shui Tianzi. It accentuates her fiery figure. Her face is also very charming. However, she was different from Shui Tianzi. She would not take the initiative to interact with Qin Yun. She addressed Qin Yun as her master and was very loyal to him. Although she was charming, she had a faint coldness to her. While cultivating, Long Tianji remained vigilant even inside the heaven-leaping shuttle. From time to time, she would look all around. Her main goal is to protect Qin Yun. Ling Yun said to Qin Yun, "Xiao Yun, you also have the ability of dual spirit sacred vein. If you cultivate the third level of Sun and Moonheart Sutra with Water Fairy and the others, this should also be able to cultivate the 9 Sun sacred vein, right?" "I don't know. There is no way to confirm this kind of thing," Qin Yun said. "Then let's give it a try." Ling Yun smiled tenderly and said, "Especially the Water Fairy. She has been calling you little hubby for so long." Qin Yun could not help but open his eyes and look at Shui Tianzi, who was leaning on him. Then he kissed her forehead and closed his eyes to cultivate. Cultivating together is to absorb the energy of the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. The 9-dragon heavenly origin formation can gently release the energy of the divine universe golden stone. Qin Yun can then use the Nether Sun and 9 Sun sacred vein to completely absorb the 9-colored energy. After absorbing, it will be absorbed by Zi Qingsheng and the others using the Sun and Moonheart Sutra to refine and strengthen their bodies. Then it will return to Qin Yun's body. Qin Yun is now late-stage Saint Realm. He is attacking the Great Saint Realm. Zi Qingsheng and the others were early-stage Saint Realm before, and now they are rapidly breaking through. Their cultivation is not as difficult as Qin Yun's, but their strength is also not as formidable as Qin Yun's. In just a few days' time, they're all mid-stage Saint Realm, and Qin Yun is only a bit away from breaking through. He is still cultivating the 9 Extinction Heart Sutra. This cultivation technique is very suitable for him, and it has been improved by Yang Shiryu. Yang Shiryu is a 9-Sun divine maiden. She has a very unique understanding of cultivation techniques. Her improved cultivation technique can make it easier to cultivate. Therefore, Qin Yun abandoned the cultivation technique he used to cultivate and concentrated on cultivating the 9 Extinction Heart Sutra. The heaven-leaping shuttle has been flying in the direction of the sun, suppressing divine arrow. He has the little ant queen that can travel through space, but he did not use it, because he has to use the divine universe golden stones sparingly. In the future, the divine universe golden stones will definitely have great use, and they will be very difficult to obtain. While cultivating, Qin Yun also explained a lot of knowledge about setting up formations, allowing Zi Qingsheng and the others to have a better understanding of this aspect. The heaven-leaping shuttle suddenly stopped, as if it was blocked by something. Qin Yun immediately stopped cultivating. "What's wrong?" Zi Qingsheng is in the main control room. She can see the situation outside. She said, "There is nothing in front. Why did it suddenly stop?" "It was blocked by some kind of power." "You all return to the 9 Sun divine soul first," Qin Yun said. "And you have to be careful." Zi Qingsheng nodded. Qin Yun caressed her face and said with a smile, "I will be careful." Shui Tianzi's charming eyes looked at Qin Yun and said, "Husband Xiao Yun, kiss me." Qin Yun smiled and kissed her red lips. Then he also kissed Long Tianji's face. "After you go back, remember to help me create a flag formation," Qin Yun said with a smile. "Got it." Shui Tianzi tenderly smiled and then kissed Qin Yun's face. After Qin Yun let them enter the 9 Sun divine soul, he arrived outside the heaven-leaping shuttle and released the sun-suppressing divine arrow. The sun-suppressing divine arrow is indeed pointing straight ahead. However, the heaven-leaping shuttle is unable to continue flying forward. He can only store the heaven-leaping shuttle and fly forward on his own. While flying, he sensed a very strong resistance, preventing him from flying forward. It is broad daylight now. There is a very strong power in front, but it doesn't seem to have any fluctuation at all. Qin Yun looked at the ground from the sky. Not a single blade of grass grows in this area. It is a desolate yellow land. "Can't go in." Qin Yun landed on the ground and walked forward. He used a lot of power but still couldn't go forward. The power blocking him is very strong. Qin Yun can only take out a communication talisman and contact Qin Long. "Dad, I arrived at a place and can't go forward. What's the situation on your side? I just want to contact you. We are also in the same situation. What's the situation on your side? Qin Long said. Qin Yun gave a simple explanation of the surrounding environment. We are in the middle of a sea. It is really strange. I want to take a detour to see if I can go in. Qin Long said. Qin Yun said, Dad, I remember that the two poles can move. Could it be that we have to wait for a long time before we can go in? Maybe let's wait and see. If there is any situation, we'll contact you again. Qin Long said. Qin Yun looked at the sky. It is currently afternoon. There is still 2 to 4 hours before the sky turns dark. He took out a communication talisman and tried to contact Xian Rujing, but she is already uncontactable. Sister Rujing must have gone to that extreme place. I hope she will be safe and sound. Qin Yun lightly sighed. He is still very worried about Xian Rujing in his heart, because Xian Rujing also has heavenly punishment curse power on her body. The sky gradually darkened, and many stars filled the sky. When the sun is about to set, Qin Yun took out sun-suppressing divine arrow and tested it. He discovered that the direction has changed, but he still has to pass through that mysterious obstruction. Qin Yun tested it a bit and discovered that he can pass through that obstruction, but he needs to use very strong power to do so. While he is passing through that obstruction, he secretly used mysterious penetration divine ability, but it has no effect at all. Is this a space barrier? A very strange power. Qin Yun secretly exclaimed in admiration in his heart. He took out a communication talisman and tried to contact Qin Long, but discovered that he cannot contact him. Ling Yun said with smile, Are we going to Sun's sacred land soon? Qin Yun is also secretly looking forward to it and said, It should be. This is truly a very strange place. At night, the obstruction weakens. It is very difficult for people without enough strength to pass through. Qin Yun is very certain that ordinary Saint Realm people will not be able to pass through this obstruction. Qin Yun's speed is also very slow. Finally, the sky is about to brighten. Qin Yun suddenly feels that his whole body is very relaxed. He can easily fly forward. It means that the obstruction has already disappeared. Is this Sun sacred land? Qin Yun looked all around. He does not sense any change. It does not look like Sun sacred land at all. The sun has risen. The heaven and earth are illuminated by the sunlight, becoming incomparably bright. Qin Yun took out sun-suppressing divine arrow. Looking at the reaction of sun-suppressing divine arrow, it is still quite far away from Azure Dragon's sun-suppressing divine arrow. There is something over there. Qin Yun looked ahead and discovered a blurry white light beam in the distance. He immediately flew over. As he did so, he carefully concealed himself. Qin Yun is flying high in the sky. After approaching that white light beam, he is extremely shocked in his heart because there is a very big hole on the ground. It is several kilometers wide. And there are many huge flying ships and many giant heavenly armor guards patrolling all around. Chapter 2035. Qin Yun had previously received news that the heavenly man of the heavenly law divine realm had already found the entrance to the Sun sacred land. Now that he had arrived at this place, he knew that the news was true. These guys are all outside and did not enter the Sun sacred land. Qin Yun hid and carefully observed the huge pit that was emitting white light. The white light that was emitted from the huge pit on the ground made Qin Yun feel that something was amiss. He did not understand the situation of the heavenly man here, so he did not plan to go over to avoid being caught. Because from the scale of the giant sky armored guards, he could tell that the heavenly law divine realm attached great importance to this entrance and would definitely guard it to the death. Not only are there giant sky armored guards patrolling, there's also a group of heavenly men wielding divine universe swords. There are dozens of them, and they are all elites. The heavenly men who went to besiege the great Saint Peak were not as strong as this group of heavenly men. Qin Yun exclaimed in his heart, Why do they attach so much importance to this entrance? Could it be that they don't allow others to enter the Sun sacred land? Xiao Yun, I think there might be something very important inside the sun's sacred land. That's why they don't allow others to enter. Ling Yun'er said, the interior of every sun's sacred land is not simple. Qin Yun asked Long Tianji to release a small lightning dragon. The small lightning dragon was like a small snake as it quietly approached the huge pit that was emitting white light. The small lightning dragon quickly arrived at the side of the huge pit. After approaching, it suddenly exploded and was attacked by a very powerful force. Master, there's a very strong formation over there. If the small lightning dragon touches it, it will be attacked by a powerful force. Long Tianji said, and I got it. Qin Yun could confirm that there was an invisible barrier over there that enveloped the huge pit. Qin Yun still did not know how strong the formation was, so he did not dare to rashly go over. Let's wait until it's dark, Qin Yun thought. At night, he could hide better. Through the nether sun, he could release a kind of shadow power that could fuse with the night sky. While Qin Yun patiently waited, he paid attention to the number of heavenly armor guards and heavenly men. What surprised him was that there were actually 3 groups of heavenly men here. Furthermore, they were all hiding in a small mountain beside the huge pit. There are a total of 150 heavenly men and thousands of heavenly armor guards. Qin Yun thought. From time to time, heavenly armor guards would fly over to check where he was hiding. Thankfully, the heavenly armor guards' perception was not very strong, so they were unable to discover the invisible Qin Yun. Xiao Yun, after dark, are you going to enter the sun's sacred land through that entrance? Ling Yun'er said, it looks very dangerous. I still don't know how strong the barrier at the entrance is. Let's wait until nightfall. I'll go over and check it out first. Qin Yun used his mental energy to probe, but his mental energy was completely blocked outside. He was unable to penetrate it. It was dark, but the huge pit was still emitting white light. Did the white light come from the barrier? Or is it glowing? Ling Yun'er asked doubtfully. I'll go take a look. Qin Yun flew high in the sky. While he was invisible, he released shadow power, allowing his aura to blend into the night. He planned to fly high above the crater and observe from above before slowly descending. This was because he realized that both the heavenly armor guards and the heavenly beings were only flying around the giant pit. They did not fly above it. Even in the sky, there were many heavenly armor guards looking for him. It was obvious that their defense was very tight. During the day, there was only one team of heavenly beings patrolling. The other 2 teams rotated, and at night, the 2 teams moved out together. It seems that night is the time when they are most vigilant. Qin Yun had just encountered a team of heavenly beings flying in front of him. Fortunately, his concealment ability was extremely strong, and he was not discovered. After the team of heavenly beings was far away, he continued to fly towards the huge pit. Not long after, he arrived above the huge pit, tens of thousands of meters above the huge pit. Qin Yun looked down at the huge pit and felt a very weak spatial energy surging out. It seems that the entrance has been sealed by them, and only they are allowed to enter and exit. Qin Yun cursed in his heart. I wonder what the situation is like on Dad's side. Qin Yun was above the huge pit. When he used his heavenly eye to check, he could see many inscriptions swimming above the huge pit. Those inscriptions were invisible to the naked eye and formed a formation barrier. Qin Yun flew into the air and carefully observed for a while. From time to time, he would discover those inscriptions. Previously, he was able to penetrate that strange resistance and enter this area at night. And now that it was night, the huge pit also released waves of spatial energy. Therefore, he suspected that only at night could he enter the huge pit and go to the sun's sacred land. This group of bastards sealed the entrance and didn't allow others to enter. How tyrannical! Qin Yun was very unhappy in his heart. He began to plan how to break the barrier. At night, Qin Yun floated above the huge pit. He slowly descended, wanting to see how strong the barrier was. The huge pit shot out an intense, white beam of light. Qin Yun was hidden in the white beam of light and couldn't be seen from the outside. Therefore, he was able to land very smoothly. After Qin Yun landed, he was very close to the huge pit and was about to enter. However, he suddenly felt a very strong power surging up. This is bad. He immediately used the light transformation sacred pupil and looked in a direction. His body turned into a ray of light and quickly left the huge pit. Just as he left, the huge pit spewed out a very violent lightning. If he had been a bit slower, he would have definitely been hit by that violent lightning. It has a very strong attack power. Qin Yun hid beside the huge pit and felt a lingering fear. The formation barrier that sealed the entrance of the huge pit had caused quite a bit of commotion when it exploded out, alarming the surrounding heaven men and heavenly armor guards. Those heaven men and heavenly armor guards all hurriedly surrounded them to check. As for Qin Yun, he quietly distanced himself. He didn't dare to be careless when facing a heaven man from the heavenly law divine realm. The group of heaven men in front of him were all well equipped. They might even have probing equipment in their hands. If they discovered that he was here, they would definitely strengthen their defenses. Qin Yun tried to drill into the ground, but found that the ground was very hard and he couldn't enter at all. He suspected that even if he used a very strong force to attack the ground, it would still be difficult to create a pit. Helpless, he could only quietly go around to a place where there were fewer heaven men and then quietly approach the huge pit. This time, he had to be careful and approach the formation barrier. He had to think of a way to break through the formation barrier and enter the sun's sacred land. This group of heaven men spent a lot of effort to seal this entrance. Qin Yun thought. When he approached, he could feel that the barrier was releasing a very strong power. He recalled that his soul was suddenly locked onto by something when he was in the sky above the huge pit. Then, that power rushed out. I can sense my soul. The moment Qin Yun approached, he sensed that the fluctuations released by his soul were being tracked. He immediately retreated and did not continue forward. The formation of the heavenly law divine realm is quite powerful. Ling Yun'er said, "Just now, I felt that I was locked onto." Of course, there are a lot of heaven men in the heavenly law divine realm. When they do important things and become serious, they are very terrifying. Qin Yun said, "Their current formation is very powerful." Ling Yun'er laughed. "Xiao Yun, you are even more powerful. You are someone who can even break through the heavenly God sealing restriction. This small formation, you could definitely get rid of it, right?" "I can indeed break it, but it will take a lot of time." Qin Yun nodded. He was currently using his heavenly eye to observe the barrier in front of him. He still couldn't see how the formation was set up. When setting up the formation, there were flag arrays or array pillars, but he couldn't see them now. For example, the 10-mountain heavenly formation from before had 10 mountains. The ground is very hard. They couldn't have placed the materials to set up the formation underground, right? Ling Yun'er said, "Then how did they do it?" Qin Yun did not answer. Instead, he carefully observed. After a while, he sighed. They used soul runes to set up the formation. Do you still remember when we went to the Long family's ancient tomb to search for the Sun Dragon totem? I remember. That powerful barrier of the ancient tomb was created by those strange spirits. Ling Yun'er hurriedly said, "Those strange spirits are soul bodies. Their soul bodies have turned into runes, and there is a very powerful energy hidden within them. Once they are connected to a powerful energy source, they can form a great formation." Qin Yun said, "The great formation in front of us is this kind of formation." Ling Yun'er said, "Xiao Yun, weren't you able to break through that strange spirit formation very easily? This soul rune formation in front of us should also be easy to break through, right?" "No, that kind of soul rune was created by those powerful inscription soul refining masters in the divine desolate land. I can break it, but it will definitely not be easy," Qin Yun said with a frown. "Just what is hidden inside the sun sacred land? Why does the heavenly law divine realm attach so much importance to it and even seal the entrance so tightly?" Ling Yun said with a smile. We'll know once we go in and take a look. Xiao Yun, hurry up and break the formation. Qin Yun looked at the sky and said, I'll go break the formation during the day. Soul bodies are very strong at night. It's not good for breaking the formation. Just as he finished speaking, he sensed a very familiar energy aura. This aura, could it be the power of the altar? Qin Yun is extremely alarmed. He immediately looked in the direction of the aura and saw a golden altar that is more than 10 meters tall. It is like a pyramid, slowly passing through the resistance layer. That altar is the sun altar that had been modified by the heavenly law divine realm. It is now also called the divine king altar. Qin Yun had obtained one before. Now that he saw this altar appear here, it meant that the altar was heading to the sun's sacred land. After the altar passed through the resistance layer, it landed on the ground. Many heavenly people and humans immediately walked out from the altar. Those humans are all wearing the clothes of the Nine Suns sect. Chapter 2036. An old man immediately walked out of the altar. He is wearing a black inscription master robe. His black robe has many golden threads of light. They are all runes. This old man is not a heavenly person, but it seems like his status is extremely high. Those heavenly people are all very respectful to him. Star Transformation Rune. Qin Yun saw the golden rune on the black robe and exclaimed in his heart. Those heavenly people all looked at the old man wearing black robe. Elder Ping, what do you think? A middle-aged heavenly person asked with a smile on his face. This formation can detect soul fluctuations. If you get too close and produce too much fluctuation, it will also cause the formation to react. Elder Ping said indifferently. As long as we can't find anyone else, it means that the formation's reaction is too sensitive. Elder Ping's tone is very calm, but his face is filled with arrogance. Even if it is a heavenly person, he does not put them in his eyes. The other heavenly people all heaved a sigh of relief. Ling Yun asked, Xiao Yun, what is the level of star transformation rune? I can card dragon transformation runes. This is a very difficult realm to reach. And star transformation runes are the same. This is the same level as having Star Lord inscription spirit. Qin Yun said, moreover, it is equivalent to having 2 Star Lord inscription spirits. So awesome. Ling Yun said in shock. Doesn't that mean that the runes he carves are very strong? And the same star runes, if they transform into star runes, they will be at least twice as strong. Qin Yun said, that's why his status is very high, because this kind of genius is very rare. Elder Ping said, you guys defend the surroundings. I am preparing to open the formation and bring the altar into the sun's sacred land. Elder Ping, how did the other 8 sun seeds enter the sun sacred land? Why did they enter the sun sacred land? A middle-aged heavenly person asked. You heavenly people should be clearer than me about this matter, right? Didn't they tell you? Elder Ping asked doubtfully. The middle-aged heavenly person laughed awkwardly and said, I asked them, they told me to ask you. Elder Ping looked at the huge pit in front of him that is emitting white light and said, the sun seed entered the sun's sacred land. Naturally, it has to take root and sprout. Originally, the sun's seed wanted to take root and sprout in the sacred desolate, but it encountered a threat, so it had to enter the safest sacred land. Qin Yun is very surprised. He never expected the yang seeds to enter the sacred desolate sun sacred land. An old Dave approached and said, Sir Ping, weren't the 8 yang seeds sealed by the heaven-sealing, God-sealing hex? How did the yang seed come out? The heaven-sealing God restriction is a single entity. After the heaven-sealing God restriction was broken by a sun seed, it temporarily lost its effect. That's why the other sun seeds were able to escape and smoothly enter the sun's sacred land. Elder Ping said, Qin Yun never expected that the heaven-sealing hex was a single entity. This meant that he had cracked the entire heaven-sealing hex back then. He suspected that when he took one of the sun seeds, the other 8 sun seeds ran to the sun holy land. Elder Ping, was currently opening the grand array that sealed the entrance. It was obvious that this grand array had been set up by him. Ling Yun said, "Xiao Yun, why is the heavenly God seal restriction one body? There should be 9 heavenly God sealing restrictions sealing 9 yang seeds. The power of the heavenly Tao is not enough to release 9 heavenly God seal restrictions. Therefore, after creating 1 heavenly God seal restriction, it split into 8, which is equivalent to 1. Qin Yun exclaimed in admiration in his heart. It seems like the power of the heavenly Tao has become very weak. Elder Ping is opening the grand array. Qin Yun is also quietly approaching the altar. When approaching, Qin Yun said to Ling Yun, hide our souls inside the nether sun. All right, first enter the nether moon, and then fuse the nether moon into the nether sun. Ling Yun said. When Qin Yun arrived, he very quickly finished all of this. His soul was originally inside the nether moon. After the nether moon entered the nether sun, it can completely conceal the soul fluctuation. After he became invisible, he used the gravity energy of the nether sun to make his body weightless. This way, he can land on the altar without being discovered. The grand array has been opened, and other people's souls can no longer be sensed. Elder Ping and more than 100 people enter the altar. Under the control of Elder Ping, the altar slowly moved towards the huge pit that is emitting white light. Qin Yun is on the altar. He has not been discovered. Originally, he planned to break the formation and then go to the Sun Holy Land through the entrance. This altar appeared very timely. Qin Yun can follow it and sneak in. When the altar passed through the passage, Qin Yun sensed a very strong spatial energy. That kind of tyrannical spatial energy attacked his body, causing him to feel a burst of stabbing pain. This kind of stabbing pain is very uncomfortable. Inconceivable. Qin Yun is extremely shocked in his heart. Although it is very painful, he can endure it. This kind of pain was already a common thing for him. Xiao Yun, why is it like this? Ling Yun doubtfully said. Generally speaking, it only happens when one enters a higher level space. That means that the Sun Holy Land of Sacred Desolate is a higher level space. Qin Yun said in shock. It is very likely that there are divine beings. Divine beings? Breaking through late stage, quintessential sacred realm and becoming divine beings? Ling Yun is very surprised. Indeed, the Sun Holy Land of Sacred Desolate is very strange. Qin Yun endured the pain and sensed the change in the space. He said, it should be between saint and god tier space. When passing through space, it takes a very long time, which means that they're going to a higher level space. If they were inside the altar, they would not be attacked by the tyrannical spatial energy. Qin Yun is now also unable to move. He can only endure the pain. Fortunately, he has experience in this area and can endure it. Half a day passed. Qin Yun's body suddenly relaxed. The pain disappeared. However, incomparably cold wind rushed in from all directions. The altar landed in a mountain forest. The trees in the forest are relatively large and have lush branches and leaves. There are many weeds on the ground. The plants in the Sun Holy Land are very green, but the surroundings are incomparably cold. Qin Yun felt as if he fell into an ice altar. Even he is shivering from the cold. It can be seen how astonishing the ice-cold power here is. Qin Yun promptly floated down from the altar. Fortunately, he can control the weight of his body and slowly float down. Otherwise, he would worry that his body would be even colder after landing on the ground. Why is the Sun Holy Land so cold? Ling Yun said. Is it related to the divine universe, Ice Dragon? Most likely, Qin Yun said. I suspect that the divine universe, Ice Dragon, has already transformed into the spirit of the Sun Holy Land and fused with it. Qin Yun landed on a tree. When he touched the leaves, he felt an incomparable chill penetrate into his body. Everything here is extremely cold. Originally, Qin Yun planned to take down the altar, but when he passed through space, he was tortured to the point of suffering. Now that it is unbelievably cold, he can only give up on this idea. Moreover, the people inside the altar are very strong. Old Ping and others came out of the altar. A few young people with low cultivation followed them out. They are not heavenly people. They are all from the Nine Sun sex. As soon as those few young people came out, their bodies immediately stiffened. They all wanted to shout, but just as they opened their mouths, their bodies became motionless. They were all frozen stiff. "Quickly retreat," Old Ping shouted. "Only the heavenly man wearing heavenly armor is fine." Even a powerful inscription master like Old Ping was shivering just now. After those few young people were frozen stiff, all the functions of their bodies seemed to have been frozen to death. Old Ping waved his hand, and those few young people were swept into the altar. "Old Ping, what happened to them?" a middle-aged man asked. "Their bodies have been frozen to death. Their energy has been devoured by the cold power. Let's put on our equipment and go out." Old Ping said, "The heavenly armor can resist the cold here. If Qin Yun took out the heavenly armor, those heavenly men would definitely sense it. Therefore, he can only move far away from the altar. He already left a talisman on the altar. He can use that talisman to find the altar later." Qin Yun floated in the mountain forest. He doesn't dare to fly too fast. In this incomparably cold place, flying too fast is like colliding with the cold wind. His body feels like it's being pierced by many ice-cold needles. Qin Yun moved far away from the altar, released the absolute yang power within his body, and circulated it to every part of his body to resist the dreadful cold power. Near the altar, he didn't release his power to resist because he wanted to hide himself. Now that he released his power, he also felt a burst of warmth. "It seems like I don't need to use the heavenly armor." Qin Yun laughed and flew to the top of a mountain. Even if a gust of wind blew, he is not afraid. There is sun in the sky, but this place is incomparably cold and gloomy. In this kind of gloomy and cold environment, flowers, plants, and trees are all growing very well. Moreover, they have not condensed into frost. This kind of strange scene made Qin Yun feel very strange. He looked all around to investigate the situation here and discovered that there is a very small round bead far away in the sky. That round bead is releasing a faint silver light. Even in broad daylight, it can be seen. It looks like a star hanging in the sky. Qin Yun carefully observed for a moment and cannot help but shout in alarm. That is the Mother Moon. The Mother Moon is actually in the Sun Holy Land. Sister Rujing said that she is looking for the extreme land. Is it the Sun Holy Land? Ling Yun said, "Didn't she say that men will die if they enter the extreme land? The area I am in is not the extreme land." Qin Yun looked at the very small Mother Moon and said, "The Mother Moon is so big, but what I see is very small. This means that I am very far away from the Mother Moon. If I want to go to the Mother Moon's location, the journey will be very long." Ling Yun said with a smile, "But no matter what, it is still inside the Sun Holy Land. The sun seed can grow in this kind of cold land. It is truly miraculous." Qin Yun muttered. He promptly took out a communication talisman and tried to contact Xian Rujing, but failed. Could it be that Sister Rujing entered through Father's path? Qin Yun tried to contact Qin Long, but failed. Chapter 2037. Qin Yun flew towards the direction of the Divine Inscription Mountain. He is currently unable to contact the people inside the Divine Inscription Mountain. He really wants to know the situation of the Divine Inscription Mountain. The Inscription Divine Mountain entered the Sun's sacred land a long time ago. Could it be that the group of inscription beasts sensed the Sun sacred land and ran in? Qin Yun suddenly thought of the group of sacred tigers in the Divine Tiger Sacred Land. The Sacred Tiger King of the Divine Tiger Sacred Land. Their duty was to protect the Sun Sacred Land. Now that the natural law divine realm had occupied the entrance outside, there was no sacred tiger to stop them. Ling Yun'er said, "Could it be that even the sacred tiger is afraid and can't defeat the heavenly man of the natural law divine realm?" "That's possible," Qin Yun said, The heavenly armors on the heavenly beings of the heavenly law divine realm are not easy to deal with. Unless they grasp an extremely strong power, they will be able to crush that kind of heavenly armor. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to deal with them. As Qin Yun flew in the sky, he would occasionally look at the silver pearl in the distance. It was the mother moon in the distant sky. Sister Karu said before that Mu Yu came to Sacred Desolate in a hurry to find something. Mother Moon might have directly entered the Sun Holy Land. Qin Yun said, "This Sun Holy Land is truly hiding many secrets." Ling Yun said with a smile, "When we find the Divine Inscription Mountain, we will go to Mother Moon's side. For Inscription Divine Mountain to be able to enter the Sun's sacred land, it will definitely grow rapidly here. The mountain god's devouring ability is very strong. In addition, the Inscription Divine Mountain can turn into Hercules and grow many divine fruits inside, so its growth speed is very fast. With the existence of the Divine Inscription Mountain, there would be a very safe place to hide." Fellow from a natural law divine realm. The reason why he brought an altar in is to defend himself. It is clear that they are very clear that the sun's sacred land has very dreadful things. Qin Yun said, "At night, the mother moon in the sky became even brighter. It hung in the ice-cold sky and released a silver glow. What Qin Yun did not expect was that after nightfall, the sun's sacred land became even colder. Especially when flying at high speed in the air, the gusts of cold wind were like ice-cold knives cutting over cold and painful. Qin Yun had no choice but to take out the heaven-leaping shuttle and enter it. What surprised him was that the heaven-leaping shuttle had only flown for a short while before its surface was covered in a silvery white frost. The power of ice released by the frost is very strong. It can drill into the heaven-leaping shuttle and freeze the runes, causing the energy within the runes to be unable to flow. The night is really scary. If you don't have a certain level of strength, you will freeze to death if you run around in here at night." Qin Yun is alarmed. Even though he is experienced and knowledgeable, this is the first time he has come to such a strange place. Within the sacred, desolate Sun Holy Land, there was no snow or ice, but it was incomparably cold. Generally speaking, in this kind of cold environment, most of them would be a world of ice and snow. Not even a blade of grass would grow. However, this place was very different. In this extremely cold environment, there were lush ancient trees that reached into the sky. Flowers and plants also grew very well. There were many beautiful flowers and plants that Qin Yun had never seen before. The sky-leaping shuttle was frozen into an ice gourd and fell to the ground. An invisible frost power. Qin Yun came outside the heaven-leaping shuttle and gently tapped the layer of ice on the calabash's surface. Very hard. He had to take out a knife and cut the thick ice. After chopping a few times, not even a single piece of ice was produced. This made Qin Yun cry out in alarm. "What kind of ghost ice is this?" "Xiao Yun, quickly get rid of the ice, otherwise the heaven-leaping shuttle will break." Ling Yun hastily said. Qin Yun can also see it. He hastily took out the 9 Heavens Dragon Lion Cannon and activated the sacred oil inside, releasing intense sacred flame. The sacred flame contains the power of the 9 Dragon Divine Universe. It is used to strengthen the flame. The 9 Heavens Dragon Lion Cannon spewed out intense flame, but Qin Yun did not feel any heat. This scared him so much that he shivered. Such intense flame, there is no heat at all, and the next scene caused him to be dumbstruck. The flame that spewed out actually turned into white ice. Flame can actually turn into ice. It is very normal to spray water in cold winter, and the water would immediately turn into ice. And now, the intense flame that Qin Yun released actually turned into ice. At this moment, Qin Yun suddenly reacted and exclaimed, "The frost power here can devour all kinds of energy and turn it into ice." When the heaven-leaping shuttle was flying, it released a lot of energy, so it was devoured by the frost power. Ling Yun said, "After devouring, the frost power will become even stronger and then condense into a very thick ice." Qin Yun nodded and said, "The thick ice wrapping around the heaven-leaping shuttle is like wrapping around a prey and then slowly devouring it. Is there any way to deal with it?" Ling Yun said, "Use nether sun fire." Qin Yun said, "Let's melt this energy first." As he spoke, he released a black flame to burn the thick ice. Not long after, the ice on the surface of the heaven-leaping shuttle was burned into white mist. The white mist did not disperse. Instead, it lingered around. The white mist is a very strange, ice-cold energy. They can smell the scent of the energy, but they did not approach because the nether sun fire released by Qin Yun can melt the ice they condensed. After the heaven-leaping shuttle got rid of the ice, it was absorbed into Qin Yun's 9-sun divine spirit. Qin Yun's entire body is emitting black flames. He looked at the frost energy around him and said with a frown, "This energy treats me as prey. Xiao Yun, can't you just keep releasing nether sun fire?" Ling Yun said, "I can only temporarily resist." Qin Yun shook his head. "This kind of frost energy is very terrifying. As long as I adapt to the nether sun fire, I might be able to devour it and turn it into ice." "Then what should we do?" Ling Yun said. Qin Yun took out the heavenly armor and put it on. He said, "Use the heavenly armor to block." After putting on the heavenly armor, Qin Yun can resist the frost even without releasing nether sunfire. However, he still feels a bit cold. The air here has that kind of frost energy. As long as I breathe, I can absorb that power into my body. Qin Yun said, "Then use nether sun fire to burn it to prevent the frost energy from entering my body." After wearing the heavenly armor, he didn't dare to fly in the air, because the frost energy in the sky is the most terrifying, especially when flying at high speed. Why is the sun holy land like this? Is it because of the divine universe ice dragon? Ling Yun said, "It might be caused by the divine universe ice dragon." Qin Yun said, "I suspect that the 9-sun heavenly domain deliberately created an extremely cold place. The main reason is to let the sun seed grow. Although the sun seed is fire attribute, it might be more advantageous to grow in this kind of extremely cold place. Otherwise, the sun seed would not have come here. Come." Originally, Qin Yun thought that after wearing the heavenly armor, he would be able to run very smoothly. But late at night, the golden heavenly armor on his body actually cracked from the cold. After the heavenly armor cracked, he promptly took out the floating cloud pagoda and entered it. Qin Yun looked at the cracked heavenly armor and said with sigh, "Truly terrifying. It seems like the 9-sun heavenly domain spent a lot of effort to create this sun-holy land." The heavenly armor cracked from a cold. "Too terrifying," Ling Yun exclaimed in admiration. The heavenly armor was refined with a certain amount of divine universe golden stone. It has very strong heavenly Tao power inside. The Sun Holy Land's frost energy swallowed the energy inside the heavenly armor and destroyed it. Qin Yun said, "It is very cold outside, but very quiet. The floating cloud pagoda is inside the mountain forest. It did not release any energy, so there is no ice layer." Qin Yun is at the first floor of the floating cloud pagoda. He looked at the beautiful flowers all around him and muttered, "The flowers and trees outside are not frozen. Is it because they did not release any energy?" He took out a divine flame leaf and threw it outside. The divine flame leaf contains energy, but it did not release it. The divine flame leaf is calmly lying on the ground. There is not even a bit of frost on its surface. Qin Yun took out the flute-shaped 9 Heavens Dragon Lion cannon and shot a small flame at the divine flame leaf. The divine flame leaf ignited and emitted flames. In the blink of an eye, the flame condensed into ice. So that's how it is. If I don't produce energy, it won't freeze. Qin Yun said, "When I am running, I release energy to increase my speed." Ling Yun said, "So you're saying that as long as you seal your energy and use pure body power, it will be fine?" "Yes." Qin Yun nodded and said, "I will go out and give it a try." He walked outside and jumped around randomly. He did not use energy, only flesh and bone power. Although he feels cold, it is not that scary. He can completely endure this kind of cold. I need to pay attention at night. I'll be fine during the day. Qin Yun stored the floating cloud pagoda and continued on his way. He ran through the mountain forest, crossing over mountain ridges, passing through forest after forest. He did not encounter any danger along the way. After daybreak, the sun came out and he flew in the sky. After rushing for a few days, he finally approached the divine inscription mountain. It is currently noon. Qin Yun is flying in the sky. He looked ahead and saw an ice giant. That ice giant is the divine inscription mountain. Is it frozen? Qin Yun is suddenly worried that the divine inscription mountain will be damaged. However, after he approached, he discovered that the divine inscription mountain is releasing a very strong energy fluctuation. Qin Yun quickly took out the floating cloud rod and thought. After the divine inscription mountain turned into Hercules, it was sealed in ice and has been struggling. He strengthened the floating cloud rod. He did not use energy, but used pure power to strike down. Boom! After a burst of muffled sound, a lot of the ice on Hercules' body shattered. Qin Yun continuously struck down with his rod and finally completely shattered the ice on Hercules' body. Boss, quickly leave! Mountain God anxiously shouted in alarm. Just as Qin Yun wanted to ask what was going on, he felt a bone-piercing cold wind attack his back. He promptly used Heavenly Strong Tao Technique and Heavenly Might Tyrant Body. A large number of ice arrows flew over and enveloped Qin Yun in an instant. Qin Yun's Heavenly Might Tyrant Body barrier vibrated and released a wave of violent energy wave, shattering the ice arrows that landed on his body. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.